couldn't have a more beautiful day for a race. And you couldn't have a lovelier place for such a function than Lime Rock Park. Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Squire here at the mile-and-a-half Lime Rock track. 11 twisting turns, 1 new chicane this year to add to the fun, and a cracker of a race for you in our live coverage today. This could be the race of the Memorial Weekend, with the Manufacturers and Drivers Championship of the International Motorsports Association at stake in race number 5. Now, as opposed to a year ago, Nissan is not on the pole, not in the front row. They're sequestered in 7th position for the start of this one. It'll be Toyota up in front, Dan Gurney's car, and the new Jag alongside. But our cohort here, Bill Adams, says, watch for row 2.
Well, I think not only row 2, where we have Costas Loss and my favorite Spice, and he was blindingly fast in morning warm-up and in the qualifying sessions, but further back in the pack. The Nissan is back there. They don't want to stay back too long because they stand a good chance of getting into a bumping match, and of course they want to avoid that. But Porsche, Bob Wallach is in the BF Goodrich Porsche that everybody keeps saying is over the hill. It's not over the hill. In fact, it's good enough that they have deliberately chosen not to run the new water-cooled twin-turbo from Europe. They're going to stay with the tried and proven product.
Well, the other big story here today is the new Jaguar. Tom Blackaller's been following that story. What have you learned?
Ken, I was over at Jaguar this morning, and they've got the curtains drawn. There's nothing to see. They've got the XJR-10 under total wraps. So I think a more interesting race is going to be over in the Camel Light division, where the top 5 drivers are separated by just a few points in the point standing for the season. And young John Cochran from Newport, Rhode Island, has set the first pole of his career. So I look for a very exciting Camel Lights race.
Right now, let's meet the man on the pole, Drake Olson, local driver here in Connecticut. He's standing by with the editor-publisher of the National Speed Sport News, Chris Economaki.
Well, he was supposed to be standing by with me, but he's not shown up for his appointed interview here. Drake Olson, a man who stepped aside from racing a couple of years ago. In fact, here he comes right now. Drake, you're 17 seconds late
Sorry
for our
about
interview.
That.
I was just saying
I
that...
watched them early, Chris.
Okay. I was just telling him that you stepped aside from racing. How long were you out?
2 years.
And you come back, and this is your 6th race, and you're in the pole position. Dan Gurney says he put you in the car because he needed a driver who could communicate and help him develop the car. Putting it on the pole, is that development work?
You better believe it.
What about this report I hear, Drake, that you may quit racing fairly soon?
You never know. Stay tuned for further details.
Okay, right about the race here. You're on the pole. There's some tough competition. How are you going to drive it? You're going to set a hot pace? You're going to take your time?
Well, we'll see what happens. A lot of questions, as usual. Tires, temperature, traffic, condition of the track. After a couple of laps, I'll assess how I want to drive it, what kind of pace I want to do, and we'll really have to take it from there. But right now, I'm just going to put my head down. I know I'm just going to put my head down and drive hard.
Okay, good luck to you. Now let's go down pit road to my colleague Mike Joy with Jan Lammers of Holland.
Chris, across at the pond in England, there hasn't been this much secrecy since the invasion of Normandy. As Tom Blackaller pointed out, this car has been completely covered up. Anytime it's not been going 100+ miles an hour down the racetrack, it's our, and at home, your first good look at it. This differs from the XJR-9 in several respects, most of which everyone is very tight-lipped about. There is one very definite clue, aside from the nomenclature on the back, that it's the XJR-10. This car is not powered by the V12. It's a brand new V6 turbo underneath the engine bonnet. Jan Lammers perhaps also wishing to forestall, as Churchill did, questions about his plans. He's not ready yet to get into the car. And from a look underneath through the ground effect tunnels and the half shafts, we can see nothing about it that we can pass on to you. Lime Rock Park is the shortest Camel GT circuit, but it is also in many ways the most difficult. Bill Adams takes us for a lap around Lime Rock.
The Lime Rock Park racetrack with a brand new change this year. A chicane has been put in right here. And we'll show you what it looks like as this year's Camel Grand Prix starts underway. Here we are down the front straight, 155 miles an hour, heavy, breaking into a long first corner. Look at how long this turn goes on. The car slides out a little bit, and the driver has to tuck it back in for a second apex. Feet on power and exit right to the edge of the road, swing back over to the right, get set up for a left-hand turn 2. Keep it out, keep it out. Now there's where you get in tight. And look at this, fight that car, have to hold it because here we're entering the back straight. Critical to carry all the speed up this very bumpy section of pavement. Now, way up ahead, that's a corner that used to be a very fast uphill corner, but watch this year. Start up and heavy braking, because right here, we're to our right, a left and feet on power as we exit the chicane. That now is a much slower area. Very, very fast bend here. It leads us right to the edge of the pavement again, and we're heading downhill really quick. This is where the nerves come into play, and look at that steering wheel. It kicks, it fights. You've got to keep your foot in it, and that will complete our very quick lap at the Lime Rock Grand Prix.
Jeff Brabham climbing into his machine, getting set for a go. As one of America's largest and certainly fastest picnics comes to Lime Rock for this Memorial Day occasion with 24 cars at the ready. Stand by for live flag-to-flag coverage on ESPN Sports World of the Lime Rock Grand Prix. Our telecast of the Lime Rock Grand Prix is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Trucks. On the street or off the road, it's the new spirit of Dodge. By Dunlop High Performance Radials, unleash the Dunlop legend. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. Back with you here on Speed World from Lime Rock, Connecticut, live. This is some of the throng that is the largest, they say, that's ever gathered here on Memorial Day to enjoy this great motorsports event. The International Motorsports Association getting ready for a start, and let's go to Chris Economaki down on pit road.
I'm standing next to the most successful car in recent IMSA history, the IMSA GTP. Jeff Brabham at the controls. Jeff, you're all hooked up, ready to go. I've never seen you so far back in a starting order. What happened during qualifying?
We just had a few little problems, and it really doesn't take much these days to go from the front to the back. So, you know, this sounds really very good now, and obviously starting this far back is going to be a hard race, but no one ever said it was going to be easy, you know.
Jeff, with the chicane, it's going to make passing more difficult, is it not?
Well, you couldn't pass there anyway before the chicane, and you can't pass there now anyway. So really, down the front straightaway here is still the best place, and that really hasn't changed.
Jeff, yesterday the Indy 500, is that out of your mind, the fact that you didn't have a ride?
Well, I was kind of wishing I was in the second Patrick car there, because Emerson really went well, and there was a great race to watch, and it made me all fired up to try and do well this weekend.
Thanks. Good luck to you, Jeff. And now let's go across pit road to my colleague Mike Joy with Bob Wallach.
He'll come out of the field, Chris, after this qualifying. He's right now having a bit of trying to get his mirrors adjusted. They'll be very critical here in dealing with this heavy traffic, working with the Busby VFG team here. The nut was loose on the mirror, so he couldn't get a good look at it. Bob, a lot of fast cars are going to have to come out of the middle of the field here. What are your main concerns in these first couple of laps?
Well, I don't really have concerns. I mean, I'm going to try to find my way through the traffic and try to pass some cars ahead of me, and so I can stay in contention with the leaders, if possible.
On a very short course like this, is traffic a big concern all day?
Well, not really, because there's a very long straightaway here, and it's quite easy to outbrake people at the end for turn number one. And there are also some slow corners onto straightaways, which allows you, if you're able to come out a little bit quicker, to pass easily.
Thank you. Good luck today. Bob Wallach. Ken Squire?
Just minutes away, about 2 from when they'll fire the engines and roll them out for the 2 preliminary laps before we get down to the Lime Rock Grand Prix. Lime Rock, Connecticut, the location. Speed World presenting live coverage today of all the action. We're back with you once again, getting set for the start. They've just fired the engines. Lime Rock is where it's happening, Memorial Day. With Bill Adam, Tom Blackhaller, Chris Economaki, Mike Joy, I'm Ken Squire. Delighted to be with you on this beautiful holiday here in New England. There you see the new twin turbo V6 from Jag, the unknown commodity in this race. And there's the Jim Busby car, Wallach and Andretti. Remember the fireworks they gave us in Miami. There you see Bob Wallach at the keyboard. Cars beginning to roll. Ladies and gentlemen, ready for it. Had a couple of great races thus far this weekend. Look forward to his excitement here. Let's take a look now at the starting grid for the Lime Rock Grand Prix. Front row. It'll be Toyota. Chris Cord, co-drive. The man who'll do most of the work today will be Drake Olson, Bridgewater, Connecticut, who put it on the pole second time this year. Outside of the road, that's Jan Lammers from Holland with that new Jag. Then going to row 2, Moretti's Porsche 962. And with him is Frank Jelinski. Outside of row 2, solo performance today for Greece, Kostas Los. Inside of row 3, it's the second gurney car. Willie T. Ribbs is there with Argentina's Juan Fangio II. Outside of row 3, it's the Dyson Porsche 962, the owner himself, and John Paul Jr. at the controls. Going to row 4, there's the man, Jeff Robin, defending IMSA champion. And against him comes Price Cobb, the great Porsche driver for the last several years, and John Nielsen, his co-driver in the V12. At row 5, there's Chip Robinson in the second Nissan. It has spun twice this morning. John Hotchkiss is on the outside of row 5 with Jim Adams. And here is the rest of the starting field for this great event. Row 6, it's Andretti and Woloch in the Busby car that won the 24 Hours of Daytona. Miller and Earl go on the outside of that row. Going to row 7. There you find the Lessif and Cochran, and that's the first of the Camel Light cars. And then Scott Schubot won 3 races this year with Linda Ludeman. Row 8, Hessert is there, and Morgan. And the father of Camel Light racing, that's Jim Downing, Howard Katz in New York City. In row 9 today, second Morgan Hessert Pruner car. Beside them comes Grooms and Jelinek in another Camel Light. Going to row 10 for this afternoon's action. And there you find the car number 40, that in Camel Light, and Luke Weiler and Jerry in that car, Kazmarowski and Daw on the outside. For row 11 today, car number 97 is back there, and that one could do some running. That's the Michael Dow car. We expect to see Michael all day in the car. Tin Cat and Knott round out that field. In row 12, Barodi starts all the way in the rear of the field. He will do some driving. He's the owner of the car, comes from Connecticut. Along with him, McKennis, as we get set for a start. Brody getting an opportunity. He's done some New England racing in the SCCA, hoping to have a good day and move up through this field a little.
Bruce McKennis is a famous race car instructor. He's been in Lime Rock a lot.
For Lime Rock for years.
There it is there, number 24. So that's the old Ken Madron March, that turbocharged Buick engine. Very, very good chassis, that car. In fact, I drove that once.
How long ago?
1985 at Watkins Glen.
And
excellent car.
Result?
Running third and DNF from a gearbox failure.
Get ready for start.
Getting set for the start. Field coming down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it for your Memorial Day. We're ready to go green at Lime Rock, Connecticut. 1.5 track, 150 miles the distance. Field is away. And screaming down. They're 3 wide going into turn 1. Drake Olson is there. One of the Jags way high as the Nissans try to bust up on the inside.
Just incredible start there. Everybody is trying to move up so quickly, and with both Nissans, the Andretti Wallach car being back there in the pack, and Price Cobb's Jaguar, a phenomenal start.
Now watch the number 84 as that Nissan, Jeff Roblem, you're riding with him, begins to sort out this field. He is coming from 7th. It rained on Saturday in the qualifying period. The Nissan spun, was bent up a little, but it's back now and looking strong. Drake Olson had a tremendous run. Kostas Los in the number 33 car, he spun in the wet after a tremendously fast lap to qualify 3rd. They've worked on the machine ever since. They've only had 3 practice laps since that occasion in the banks.
If Jeff Rabman, the 84 car, can win this race, he wins $110,000 from the Camel Pyramid, Ken.
Here he is, clipping through cars, chopping down another one. Keep your eye on the number 84 here as we follow him trying to move his way through the field.
We just saw John Paul just make a great move there in that number 16 orange and white Dyson car. He took inside Moretti and just cleanly passed him. A beautiful move up into 1.
So it is Olson in front, Lammers in 2nd. John Paul now goes to 3rd, and Moretti falls to 4th. Back with the leader, number 98. Drake Olson from Bridgewater, Connecticut. This is home track. Came here with his dad to the driver's school when he was 7 years old, he says.
Drake has always been very, very fast on this track, and we remember that when the Dyson 962 made its inaugural appearance in the Camel GT Series, Drake won this race for them, so he is very happy at this track.
Meanwhile, the number 84, Brabham, is trying to make a move. He's coming to the inside, going to turn 1, and trying to clip another car as we watch Drake Olson in command of the race. And moving up is Brabham. He has just passed the Lesson car and finds himself up to 6. Brabham working his way through the field. Some of the crowd that's gathered here. Here's the Moretti car, that red car. Moretti was saying that this track is so bumpy in the main straightaway, when you get to the end of the big bend, you have trouble finding the brake pedal.
Well, we watched the Moretti car a lot during practice, and it seems that he is the least suited to the front straight of all the cars we watched. Very, very hard spring, and I don't think they got the right combination. You can watch the car as it comes down here.
Moretti
pitching and bumping all over it. Look at the Nissan by comparison. It's a lot more stable.
Moretti 4th.
Nice inside
Brabham
move.
5th. Swap them around.
Nice inside move by Brabham down at Big Bend. The 84 car passes Moretti and takes 3rd place, I think.
Give Brabham another spot. That'll move him up to 4th. It is John Paul in 3rd, Lombers in 2nd, Olson out in front. He's going to have some fun trying to run these guys down. This is not going to be the cup of tea, and that chicane has taken about 4 seconds a lap out of this track. That chicane right there, which they added a year ago after Morton had that disastrous end-over-end fiery crash in practice that wiped out the 2nd Nissan. Where that chicane is the spot where it happened. And of course, that's where the Goo Can-Am car went cartwheeling into the woods several years ago.
That's right. You can see Jeff here. He's closing the car immediately ahead. That is John Paul once again. Now here's leaders just going right there. He has closed up a little bit more on John, and we'll watch him as he goes around here. This is just tight turn 1 and 2.
Rule changes have slowed the Nissan considerably, but it continues to have its strong. Oh, we've got one car in trouble here. It's one of the Camel Light cars. That could be the 97 car trying to get fired. Up against the barrier.
Yeah, I think his race is over. That is just before the chicane. That's at the end of the back straight. You saw a little burst of fire. Yeah, he's obviously stalled the motor. The fire is just fuel getting through the exhaust pipe. He's flooded the engine at this point. Notice how patient Brabham is being right now. John Paul, who I'm so happy to see back in a really good ride, is driving very, very well. But Jeff is biding his time. And watch him. He'll move wide and outbrake him into turn 1.
Here he is. Scramble going on,
and once again,
3rd.
The stability of the Nissan, it's becoming legendary. The 962 is such a refined chassis, and yet the Nissan makes it look like a truck by comparison. It's just so smooth.
Nissan's every bit as refined as the Porsche is now. I think they've been working very hard on that chassis, and the handling is obviously just right.
Yeah, without question, I think the Nissan is a superior chassis to the Porsche.
And it's in 3rd. Those rule changes have slowed that Nissan. Oh, we've got one in trouble.
Now, I think that's the same car. He was able to get across the track, but now he may have stalled on the pavement itself.
That's Michael Dow trying to get back in the race in the number 97 Camel Light car.
Justin Bell will be his co-driver today, Derek Bell's son, trying to get that one fired up. 24 car going a lap down, Jim Briotti.
Now look at that, Jeff's getting right out the edge of the pavement already, so he's driving quickly, but not really hard on the car. He's trying to be very smooth with it.
Well, again, we were talking about this Nissan and how the IMSA rule changes were made to slow this car down, but it continues to really run like a rocket. Here's what Brabham told us.
Definitely, I think our strength is where it's always been, really, is a nicely balanced car through the corners. And, you know, it's going to be tough here for us to pass people because we're definitely one of the slowest cars down the straight now this year. And, you know, that makes it a lot harder for us.
Jeff Brabham now is in 3rd. Olson in the Toyota is 1st. The Jaguar is 2nd. The Nissan is 3rd. And the 962 in 4th.
Just really an outstanding picture right there on what Jeff is doing, and in fact what all of the GTP drivers are going through today. Look at the road shock and the vibration through that steering wheel. Look at it, it's kicking back, really fighting right there. sawing back and forth. You don't think these guys are athletes? Watch what one of these fellas does for a lap. The gauge also, right below that little Nissan Motorsport sign, that's a boost gauge, and that's showing when the engine is coming up. Right there, where you see the needle reach its furthest point around there. There's maximum boost. That's where he's getting all of the horsepower. As he lifts his foot off the gas, the gauge drops down.
In lap traffic is your leader, number 98. Drake Olson sorting that one out and getting through. They've come close. They've had turbo problems when they thought they were on their way to victory at Road Atlanta. They've sat on the pole twice this year, but they have yet to taste victory. Dan Gurney feels this will be his day. We'll see. Dan Gurney's All-American Racers sustains from the point with now 9 of the 150 laps complete. Car number 98 stays out in front. Drake Olson of Bridgewater, Connecticut, in the second position, is the new secret weapon from Jaguar. Jan Lammers at the controls, the Dutchman staying second. Going third, Brabham. Fourth, Dyson. And Camel Lights, Jim Downing is out in front. John Cochran is in second place. This report from Chrissy Carnamacki.
Well, what we're seeing on the track is sport, but what's really happening is business. A Toyota is out front. Members of the Toyota business community are here. The Jaguar is second. The president of Jaguar USA is down in that pit. In third place, a Nissan. Those people are here. In fourth place, Porsche. They're here to impress all these spectators and hopefully sell cars when it's all over. Automobile racing is a sport, and it's also a business. Back to you, Ken.
More so than ever in 1989 in this manufacturer's championship event. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, you're looking at the V6 Buick engine in Scott Schubott's car. They have a problem in the valve train they're trying to diagnose. So they've got that one apart. That was the Camel Lights leader going in. Linda Ludeman on the other side of the pit wall waiting to put the bodywork back in place. Maybe they can loan it to these guys. This is Michael Dow's Pontiac Firebird. He cut down a right rear tire. That was the reason for the spin and the slowdown getting back up to speed. Now they're trying to get everything at least reattached enough to get him back in the race. They have a spare nose section for this car, but no spare tail. Ken?
Another car just entering the pits is Bob Wallach in the number 67 Porsche 962. The car that won the 24 Hours of Daytona is now on pit road. There's the BF Goodrich car. Bob Wallach is pulled into the early going.
That's highly unscheduled, Ken. This is way too early for any tire change or any fuel or anything except a problem.
Actually, right now, Tom, I can get a look at the car. They are changing 2 of the outside tires, and here it looks like they're going to do a 4-tire stop, so something has happened.
Well, certainly the change, it isn't to change the tires because they wouldn't come in after 10 laps to do that.
Chris is right there. Chris?
Yes, so we're down here in the pits, and it seems that they're not certain of what's wrong. The nose piece is being exchanged on the car. The original nose piece is getting taken off, and a new one put back on. New tires have been put on already, and fuel has been put in. This is a long stop. The nose doesn't appear to have been damaged that they took off, but now the new one doesn't want to fit on. And it's a costly pit stop as the seconds tick away, and they lose ground on the track. We'll check further and give another report. Back to you, Ken.
Anxious moments, and you could see Bob Wallach in there.
He just reached over and shut the car off, so Wallach obviously feels that something is very serious with the car.
The 97 Cochran car back on the track as the leader. Number 98 Toyota stays well in front. Drake Olson from Bridgewater, Connecticut, leading here on home turf.
This has really been a most impressive debut for the Toyota people. That they're taking a car, essentially a brand new car, and making it competitive with the Nissan, with the Jaguars. A very, very good performance. In fact, speaking with the Toyota crew, they wanted to bring to my attention that a lot of us, and myself included, have called this the WEC car, the car that's built in Japan. And they say, yes, it originally was, but we have done so much to it.
Now you see the second place car, the new Jaguar V6 Turbo, Jan Lammers of Holland. Now in second place, and let's see how far back is the Nissan behind this number 60. Remember that Brabham started in 7th. He has worked his way to 3rd, and he is closing on the V6 Jag Turbo.
He's less than 2 seconds behind now. And 2 seconds is not too much of a gap. He's closing at about a quarter of a second a lap. And that means in about 4 or 5 laps, we should see the 84 car with Jeff Brabham right on the tail of the XJR-10.
Let's watch this time as they come down this main straightaway. And Power seems to really get on the boost with the number 84 in this long straightaway coming downhill. He clambers up 3 or 4 car positions there.
I think what might be really interesting, if we get the opportunity to go to the in-car camera once Jeff does get very close to the Jag, just so we can compare the horsepower. Let's see what that new Jaguar has in this Turbo 6.
Leader, number 98. A handsome one.
Toyota was on the pole at Atlanta, Ken, and this is their second pole position this year, so they really have a car that is competitive.
Putting a lap on Tom Hessert. Gave such a great performance in 1988 in Camel Light competition.
That's actually Jeff Perner in the car. Jeff decided to start the car so Tom Hessert could choose which car he goes in, the 9 car or the 19 car, at the change of drivers in about an hour.
Your old friend Jim Downing is out in front right now. He's having his own good war with John Cochran and DeLessa.
Just to show you how quickly this Toyota is going right now, we just got word there's an 11-second gap from first to second. Olsen is flying right now. There's a good indication of just how bumpy this front straight is. And with these cars, they're running springs that are 2,000 and 3,000 pounds to compress them. Very, very heavy springs. On a normal street car, you think you would have no suspension at all. That's what makes it look so bad, and it feels even worse inside the cars.
Right now, Drake Olsen has a lead of the whole front straight against the XJR-10 car with Jan Lammers, and the 84 car with Jeff Brabham is right behind the XJR-10.
Better than 11 seconds. Here's Chris.
Well, you talked about the bumpy front straightaway. Apparently, it's bumpy enough to break the nose frame. This is the only car to beat the Nissan this year. Won 2 races at 24 Hours of Daytona and at Palm Beach. And now the framework that holds the nose piece is broken. It's a tough job to repair, and it's putting them out of competition. Bob Wallach and John Andretti, the drivers. Back to you.
John Andretti had flown back from Indianapolis, where he had a less than satisfactory performance, but he flew last night and got here, and I'm sure he's very disappointed.
I always feel in watching Indy that anytime you finish it safely, that's a great satisfactory performance.
ESPN Sports World, Speed World, congratulations today to Emerson Fittipaldi for his dramatic victory in that one, and to Darrell Waltrip for his victory in the 600. See the highlights on Motor Week coming up 3:30 this Thursday afternoon. Speed World here today at Lime Rock, Connecticut, as you watch number 84, Brabham, reel in car number 60, Jan Lammers, the Jaguar. What a scramble.
Now, if there's some possibility, if we can get to an in-car camera just to see this, once these fellas are getting close, let's try and see, because last year we all remember the Nissan had so much horsepower and put the power to the ground so well. Here's the brand new, quite a remarkable story, too. They have built this, designed and built the turbocharged 6-cylinder motor in the Jag in 18 months. Just an incredible feat.
Bill, they've got tremendous power in the Nissan, but they've got the restrictor on the turbo, which is holding them back, and their straight line speed has not been so great this year, so they're going to have a little harder time with the Jaguar.
There were a number of tracks last year, that Watkins Glen comes to mind, where they were quite a bit slower on the straight, but they sacrificed straight line speed for a lot of downforce by really angling up the rear wing, and the overall lap time, it paid off because they were much, much faster. So in one sense, it looks like they're slower. Now here's great in-car stuff from Brabham's car. The car immediately ahead through all the bumps. There's the Jag right there, and we're going to the tightest point in the track. There's the right, left. Now he's hard on the power. The Jag doesn't seem to draw away much at all. This is a right-hander here. We go down the hill through a very fast right, and this is the Nissan strength right here. He's very quick through that.
Number 98 staying well in front. 11-second advantage for this car. The struggle continues in second place. Lammers and Brabham.
There's Moretti off the track.
Moretti off the course. It's too bad for Moretti, the Milan, Italy driver.
He looks to be largely unharmed, though, and there he's doing a few pirouettes to get back on the track.
He's spinning his Momo wheel back and forth through his hands.
Big old 962 comes out.
Boy, that's a fast place to go off. That's probably 120 miles an hour down through that corner.
And he was the one talking about how bumpy it is right in here at this portion of the track, this straightaway. You can
I think
have a little trouble finding the pedals on there as the cars bounce and vibrate into turn 1.
He looks to be unharmed, though. He's proceeding on that downhill turn. The outlet of that downhill turn is a tricky deal.
Leader about to overlap him. Drake Olsen cutting through traffic. Wants to give Gurney his first win for the Toyota prototype car. What a day it would be. We'll see.
Oh, what a feeling.
You are watching Bridgewater, Connecticut's Drake Olson in car number 98, leading in the Lime Rock Grand Prix. He has said, I'm really comfortable here, and I'm looking forward to racing this track. It's my home track, and I know it pretty well, but I haven't been on it for a couple of years, and with that new chicane, it might be a little tougher. So far, a piece of cake for Drake Olson as he leads by some 11 seconds. Tom Blackhall, an outstanding performance by Olson.
Olson's raced here for about 10 years. Kenny started in Formula Fords, and interestingly enough, his first big victory in the IMSA GTP race was in 1985 in the Porsche 962, and he was driving for Rob Dyson then. Here's the number 60 Jaguar XJR-10 turbo car with 84 Nissan Jeff Brabham chasing closely behind.
There you see the number 84 Brabham right there, and he's reeled him in again. He fell back a bit. Now he's back up there within about 12 car lengths. Here's Chris Economaki.
You're looking at Europe's answer to Roger Penske. The TWR on the side of the Jaguar stands for Tom Walkinshaw Racing. This is that man, Tom Walkinshaw, so successful in international racing, winner of the World Championship 2 years running with Jaguar cars, and now here to debut his new V6 Jaguar. He has a concerned look on his face. He is the ultimate team operator in Europe. It will be interesting to see this man come up in a race against Roger Penske, this country's equivalent. Back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Chris. Good report. That would be an interesting story, Bill Adams.
It certainly would. I had the pleasure of talking with Tom Walkinshaw before the race, and he's an incredibly intense individual, but brilliant. He just has really a most impressive operation here.
He has reason to be concerned, though, fellas, because the XJR-10 is getting hammered upon by the 84 car driven by Jeff Brabham, and it's only a matter of time here before Brabham gets to him, unless one or the other of them makes a mistake.
Well, he's been to him twice, and twice. The Jaguar, the new V6, has pulled away the twin turbo. Here you watch the Nissan Brabham, 8 wins in a row last year, a total of 10 on the season, including that runoff at the end of the season down in Florida. Here he is through the chicane, top part of the track, trying to gain a little ground. Looks like he loses a little of his momentum here. May get it back right now.
Again, like just back in the Nissan with Jeff Brabham, look at him fight this wheel. It's even affecting our camera, just the vibration coming down the straight. Really, really taking a pounding. And you can see that Jeff's fighting. Now we're switching to the 962 with Bob Wallach, and just almost the consummate master. Watch, he's making fast reactions. Watch, as soon as he's clear, things just settle down again. The car seems to have almost a Jaguar ride, should I say. Just very smooth down the track, and Wallach isn't fighting the car. The car isn't kicking back nearly as much as what the Nissan is doing.
That's certainly true. It looks like the BF Goodrich car is a great deal easier to drive than the Nissan, but the Nissan has great speed.
25 of the 150 laps are complete. The number 67 has fallen back outside of the top 5, running in 7th position. Olson stays in first, Lammers is second, Brabham is third, Rob Dyson's car with John Paul Jr. at the controls is fourth, and then the second Jaguar, the V12, maintains the 5th position here.
Ken, there's only one place to pass on this track, and that's down going into Big Bend at the end of the front straight. So when we watch the race between the XJR-10 and the Nissan, that's where we want to see. The character of the track hasn't been changed very much by that chicane up at the top of the hill.
The chicane was really a necessary addition. That crash last year of John Mort in the Nissan was just one of the most frightening things I'd ever seen. It was terrifying.
Yeah, it slowed the cars down at that point and made it a great deal safer, and hasn't changed the character of the track because nobody can pass there anyway.
Leader caught up in traffic for a moment. We asked the question to Drake Olson, just how has Toyota been able to come to this GTP series with such a competitive car?
The engine's just terrific, and they have all-American racers have just a great attitude. They're professionals. They go at it. They're always thinking about the car, and the preparation is meticulous, and we've just been paying attention to things and working together, and it's been working out great.
Working out great right now. This car, number 98, originally was a Group C car. That was the dome car. All-American racers have made considerable amendments and changes to the car.
They have.
But Olsen is now driving in their own car. The 99 car is running further back in the field. Now you see this battle again between number 60, the new Jag V6 twin turbo, and the 6-cylinder number 84, the Brabham car, turbo-powered, trying to close in again. Boy, what a scrap we've got here.
Yeah, I've got to say that Tom Walkinshaw must actually be quite pleased right now that even though his car is running second for a brand new car and a brand new engine, like, this isn't just the insertion of a new engine into the old chassis. The entire car is new, so what they're accomplishing right now with the new vehicle is really impressive, and it's staying comfortably ahead of Brabham at this point. Something we will have to watch out for, too, is fuel economy. This may be an unknown matter for the Jaguar people, although meeting Tom Walkinshaw and seeing how thorough he is, I can't imagine he doesn't know what the mileage will be like.
29 laps complete of 150 this time by. Here's Brabham in third. Won 3 races this year, and then they broke a motor, which they haven't done too much of before.
I wouldn't have thought that possible.
Here's Mike Joy.
Scott Schubot and Linda Ludeman's car was one of the top-ranked Camel Lights here, and almost as quickly as this race starts, for you folks, it's over. What happened?
Well, the engine broke. One of the roller lifters broke, so we're out for the day. I mean, we investigated running on 5 cylinders just so we could get some points, and Scott's in the points lead, but it wouldn't even do that.
What's it feel like to go through a whole weekend here and have to stand here, watch your car come around the racetrack a grand total of twice, not even be able to get in it?
Really disappointing. It's going to be a really long trip home, but hopefully in mid-Ohio things will be much better when we back up in the front.
Okay, Linda Ludeman.
Almost saw the worst of all scenarios right there as one Toyota almost took off the second Toyota. I think, is that Willie T in number 99?
Willie T is in 99 now. That's the Toyota Eagle, and there goes the Group C Toyota right by with Drake Olsen at the controls. So Willie was being a good teammate there and allowing his faster car to go right by.
Vision is not the best out of these machines with all that paraphernalia behind you.
Just dreadful.
The engines are the same, the power plants are the same in both these Toyota cars. The number 98 car is the so-called Group C car, which is a great deal.
Main straightaway, full speed, over 165 miles per hour. Drake Olsen clips off another lap here at Lime Rock. Car number 97 just went out and hid in the Connecticut Everglades. We had a picture of him hiding back there. All you could see was the nose of the car, which has been slightly rearranged.
Yeah.
That's the second time, as you were pointing out, that he's been off out here today, Tom Blackhaller, and that was up in the final corner coming downhill. Here he is. Let's take a look, see if we can see what happened. It slides off. Already lost the nose, and that's where it rested for a moment.
Roy Roach is not going to be pleased with that.
About 900 feet back to the pit area where Mike Joy is.
Well, the nice thing about these nose pieces, Ken, is they come on and off pretty easily. One of the crewmen checked the mounting points for this fiberglass piece, and as quickly as he tore that one off, well, almost as quickly, they'll get a new one fitted. I just spoke with Justin Bell. He's going to co-drive this car. It's the second time it's been for crash damage, and he's just going, oh, no, I've driven enough damaged cars today. He was involved in an accident in his Barber Saab Series race, bent up the front wing, but continued on to finish second in that one.
That's the 5th place car we're looking at now here. Thanks, Mike. That is Chip Robinson, and he's missed the chicane just recently, and he had a couple of altercations in the practice period this morning. He came off here, right here at turn 1. Maybe we can see what happened to Chip up in that chicane.
Well, we'll try and get there. Here we go. Here's the replay right here. You can just see the Jag. Now look in the background. Watch Chip. Right straight over. And see scattering gravel all over the place. Just got in just way too hot. Carried far too much speed into the corner. Couldn't even make the turn.
Tried to take a shortcut. Very unadvised way to do it up there.
How about it, Chris?
Don Devendorf, the owner of Electromotive and the racing manager here for Nissan, is another man that's got a concerned look on his face, much like Tom Walkinshaw. Never before has the Nissan prototype, when it was running well, been out of the lead, and it's definitely out of the lead here. Devendorf has 2 cars to take care of. He clocks the lap, figures fuel consumption, and plots strategy. And you can see how busy he is here at his position on the rack there with the stopwatch and the computers in front of him. Things are not the same today for Don Devendorf.
Well, we harken back to 2 years ago at Road Atlanta when everything in the world happened to Nissan. They started back on the grid. They came up to the front. They had trouble in the pits. They had a fire. Can't think of anything else that could have happened to them, and they went on to win that race.
Yeah, except Chip Robinson's running into a very serious problem right now. I know this is the Moretti car in the pits.
Moretti's into the pits in car number 30. Let's see if it's a tire down from some of that was thrown out on the track from the 83 car. Mike?
It is tires, Ken. They're putting 4 on it that spin. When you spin at Lime Rock on the downhill, this track originally was a limestone quarry. You don't just go off in the dirt and grass. There's a lot of stones there. So Moretti may well have had a tire going down. Not being sure which one it is, you put 4 on. Of course, you may have flat spotted him from that spin anyway.
Now, Mike, pardon me for interrupting. We just saw the number 83, Chip Robinson, pulled right across and hit Drake Olson as Drake was coming up to lap him.
That happened at turn 1. Hardest braking point on the course, and you can see the 83 getting refired, and there's some damage on the right side of the car. The question is, what has happened to the 98 of Drake Olson?
There was a little fiberglass flying down at the end of the turn. It looked like a piece of Drake Olson's car, Ken, so we'll see when he comes by, although he got out of that pretty good.
Need to take a look at number 98, the leader, Drake Olson, who was in this altercation with number 83.
Unbelievable. Chip Robinson is not having one of his better days today.
37 laps now complete. That happened the end of lap 36.
Now, there you can just see as the Nissan slides off, but I agree. I think it was one of the pieces of the Toyota that came off.
Yeah, it is. It's the quarter panel on the right-hand side of the car that's off the Toyota.
Here he is, just as we watch him coming towards. Look at how that little wing on the right front corner of the Toyota it's gone.
See the number... Here's another angle of what happened.
Now watch, you'll see Drake slide to the inside. At this point, he's got more momentum than the Nissan. They're under heavy braking. They're both under braking. Drake is alongside at this point, and Chip just simply turns over into him. Look at this. Drake's hard on the brakes trying to avoid it as he just clips off that little piece of wing.
Robinson spinning, number 98 continuing, but he seems to be running a bit slower now. The 83 back up with him, as we saw in that last picture. Here's the 83 car, Chip Robinson. And the 98 is going down into turn number 1. Let's see if we can get a look at that machine and see what Drake Olson's car looks like after that altercation. Here's the 98 machine. That's the 99.
That's 80. There it is.
There's the 98.
Now, if we get a head-on look at that other corner, notice that there are 2 little canards on the front end. And I think the impact broke off one of those. It shouldn't affect it a great deal, but as the race goes on and track conditions deteriorate, it may play a very important part. Yeah, see, one is completely gone. Only the lower one is still in place.
The left-hand side of the car is a little bit gouged up, but he didn't lose any time at all in an accident, Bill, and we'll have to see now if he's losing time on the track.
So let's get the clock out and measure interval between first and second spot, which had gone to over 13 seconds.
Well, a lot of race cars at this track suffer from understeer or a push condition. And you can see some of the Porsches and some of the cars have mounted auxiliary wings across the front end. What some vehicles do, the Nissans and the Toyota, is mount these double fins on the front end. With the fin missing off his left front headlight cover, he may start to suffer increased tire wear on the left front corner. And as the race goes on, the tires may come up, be a real problem.
Ken, the interval between 98 Drake Olson and the number 60 XJR-10 car is 17 seconds now. So it doesn't appear that that little altercation has affected the time very much.
Well, let's check one more time. I had it down to 11, and I had it at 13 before. We'll check it again this time by and see where we are. Here's Mike George.
Ken, just what you're talking about upstairs. Here's a look at these lips. They're made out of carbon fiber. They're kind of like trim tabs. That's what they'd be on an airplane. One mounted low, kind of level and sweeps up. And this one just channels the air out and around the nose of the car. The Toyota pit has 2 complete spare noses ready to go on the car. So do most of the teams along pit road. Nobody brought any spare tails, and one team's already needed one. The course and the action has taken that much of a pounding on these cars.
41 laps now complete. 109 to go. First to second is 18-9. It is 18-9 at this point in favor of Toyota and Drake Olson after that altercation at turn 1. More for the Lime Rock Grand Prix at Lime Rock, Connecticut, with 42 laps down. In the second position, it is Jan Lammers in the new V6 twin-turbo Jaguar, with Jeff Brabham in third spot for Team Nissan. And he really has his work cut out for him if he intends to win race number 4 of the '89 season here today at Lime Rock, a race instrumental in that tremendous run they had a year ago. This was one of the key races for Nissan a year back. There you see the Camel Light leader, number 79. That is DeLessep and John Cochran out of Palm Beach, Florida, leading in Camel Light, with Charlie Morgan and Perner as the driver currently out of Glens Falls, New York, in second.
Yeah, Jeff Perner is the driving instructor at Road Atlanta, and the 79 car was put on the pole. The 79 car we see here was put on the pole by John Cochran. The car chasing 79 in second place is the 9 Spice Buick of Tom Hessert and Charles Morgan. Charles Morgan is aboard now. And with Scott Schubot and Linda Ludeman out of the race, they had a failure of their engine about 2 laps from the start. That gives Hessert and Morgan a good chance to gain points. And you can see here, they're coming right up.
The pits making a driver change here. Another of the Camel Light machines making a driver change. That's the Tincati Holland car.
That's a pretty relaxed driver change right there. I don't know if they're figuring this is a 24-hour endurance race. There's no need for rushing. Awfully slow getting that driver change.
Tom, Jim Downing has fallen to 4th. He and Howard Katzel right up there in the thick of it at the outset, and they have slid back now as Grooms and Jelinek have taken over in 3rd.
Yeah, Grooms and Jelinek are running about the same car that Downing and Katz are. Those are the Mazda-powered cars. As we see the Toyota leading the race, number 98, driven by Drake Olson.
He's been relentless. He came off the point, and he just stays out there and keeps building this lead for Gurney and company.
Well, this has, once again, been such a real promising start for the Toyota personnel. This car can literally come out and be competitive, not only competitive, but dominate the last 3 races. It ran very, very strong at West Palm Beach. Of course, at Road Atlanta, it was sitting on the pole, which shocked a lot of people. And here's Bob Wallach continuing to soldier on, as smooth as ever.
Unofficially back in 7th place at this time.
And Wallach is several laps down now. They blew the nose off their car. The really rough surface at Lime Rock took the nose of the Porsche out and broke the nose frame.
Had trouble mending it and getting the new one on. Chris Economaki, are you with us?
I sure am. I'm down here in the Nissan pit watching the pit signals being given to the drivers on the track.
Chris, you had that report earlier about Drake Olson in the 98 that he might be retiring. From whence did that come? What's that all about?
Well, Dan Gurney, I had a chat with Dan Gurney this morning asking about why it was he chose Olson, particularly after Olson had been out for 3 years farming in Florida. And Dan explained to me that his team had been used as a stepping stone by young drivers trying to get experience, and they're writing off a lot of his cars. And they went to Olson because they knew he was fast and good and could communicate. And then Dan said, however, I don't think he's going to be around much longer. He wants to retire from racing. So that's why we put the question to him.
Well, certainly is charging hard here today.
This could change his mind about retirement, Ken.
That's interesting, too, because at one point, his retirement was almost a forced retirement, and then he rode off so many of Rob Dyson's 962s. He was really
famous for finding
just,
fences.
oh, boy, he was almost at the point of being dangerous.
Drake Olson is a very thoughtful young man, and he probably thinks a lot about racing, and therefore he probably vacillates a great deal about, this is crazy, I ought to quit, or getting back into it, because it's so much fun.
But he is blindingly fast. There's no disputing that.
Do you ever do that on the water, Tom?
Well, I never think about quitting sailboat racing. When I night before a car race, I think how crazy it is. But when I get in the car, I want to do it again and again.
Watching Drake Olson continuing out in front here. Laps complete, 47, 103 to go. Toyota, will they win their first race in American prototype racing? We'll find out soon. Dan Gurney's car number 98 being driven by Bridgewater, Connecticut's Drake Olson, leading here in the Lime Rock Grand Prix. An outstanding performance to date. He's been in one altercation. He's lost just a bit of the nose of that machine, but it continues to roll out in front with a 17-second advantage at this point over the new Jaguar being driven by Holland's Jan Lammers. Jeff Brabham remains 3rd with the Nissan, the team that won here a year ago at Lime Rock, Connecticut. After years in racing, Dan Gurney brings his talent to leading the Toyota team in 1989. Dan Gurney, he's always done things his own way. In the 60s, he became the first American to win a Formula One Grand Prix in a car of his own design, the Eagle. In 1973, Gurney's Indianapolis version of the Eagle carried Gordon Johncock to victory at the Brickyard. Today, Gurney is trying to work his magic for Japanese car-building giant Toyota. Gurney is doing things a bit differently.
We actually are developing two cars at once. The Eagle that we designed and built there in Santa Ana, California, and also this Group C car, which was designed and built in Japan. And the team has sort of polarized, you know, the Group C group and the GTP group, and that's been a little bit difficult for the team, but at the same time, there's an added competitiveness that I think has helped overall, and but it's been a bear.
Just a month ago, Drake Olson put the team's C car on the pole at Road Atlanta, the first for Toyota.
We were all a bit surprised, and it was a great boost to the team and a great boost to TRD, the Toyota Race Development guys, too. So all the guys at All-American Racers and myself kind of got a real kick in the butt after that.
Ever the diplomat, Gurney refuses to predict victory for his new team, at least not to the day.
We don't have the faintest idea, but we know we're going to have to run hard, and we intend to learn how to do that. So we'll take it as soon as we can get it, but our goal was to try and do it this year, so we shall see.
If Dan Gurney's record is any indication, that first win is not far off. That first win may be here today in Lime Rock, Connecticut. Drake Olson giving Gurney some glory right now as he continues to reel off laps in first place. The number 98 staying up in front, but the battle continues to develop for the second position. Car number 60, Jan Lammers, remains in that position, and 84 Brabham is closing on it right now. Let's go quickly to Chris Economaki.
This strap is one of four the crew has just made in car number 67 that had its nose piece fault. They've added one here, one in the middle, and one on the other side. They're still working on this nose piece to try and build these brackets to make it hold on. When they put it back on the car, the nose frame is broken on the car. It's a never-give-up situation in automobile racing, and here's some of the dedication that these guys are showing, knowing they're absolutely out of the running, but yet they want to be there when the checkered flag waves later today.
Here you see it back on the track. That was the repair work being done to get that car back up another position if possible. The B.F. Goodrich team, the Jim Busby racing team. Bob Wallach doing an outstanding job today.
Coming to 5, 16, 4 to 5.
Car number 60, Jan Lammers works his way down through, and there you have number 60, the V6 twin turbo, the new machine, still trying to hold off the 84 of Jeff Brabham.
What's happened here, Ken, is the number 10 XJR car, the number 60 XJR-10 car is about a half a lap behind the Toyota with the Nissan right behind him, and they're weaving their way through traffic now. And I don't see any way that these guys are going to be able to press onto the Toyota unless they really get going.
The story may be told in the pits before this one's over. In Camel Light, you have to change drivers for at least 2 laps. But in the prototypes, you can go all the way on a single pilot. Right, Tom?
That's correct. The Camel Light rule was made because most of the Camel Light cars are owned and driven by 2 drivers. The idea is to let them get equal time in the car because one driver was hogging all the time, and so they had the rule that you have to have a driver change in the race, in this race, for at least 2 laps. The new driver has to drive.
Well, here's a critical part of the race for Brabham. You see the 60 getting through that lap traffic, trying to draw a bead on the leader, number 98, Drake Olson.
And again, look at the difference. We just saw Wallach in that Porsche a moment ago, and here's Brabham just fighting that car down the straight.
Trying to close it again. He had him once. He had him right in his clutches.
That was very nice.
Got away.
Jeff just didn't think we were getting a clear picture of the Nissan Motorsports side and just set it up there for us. Always aware of sponsors.
Vibrating, pounding down there, and taking care of business. Jeff Brabham.
Bear in mind now, he's half a lap behind the leading Toyota of Drake Olson. So he really has to start hustling in the last part of this race if the Nissan's going to get up and be competitive.
Also something too, Ken, is to bring to our viewers' attention. The glare that you see off the windshield is not only a glare that our camera's picking up. This is something that the drivers have to contend with all day long. And it gets worse and worse, that the Nissan windshield will be on a different angle than the Porsche windshield. That's why we're getting glare, and you can look and see like little bits of rubber and oil on the windshield. Visibility really gets much, much worse as the race goes on. As you look forward to that pit stop, and you can finally get some vision back.
You notice the Nissan had trouble passing the Porsche number 10. Here's number 24 slowing down. That's the March car.
Barodi's car, and it is having trouble now. 84 March, beginning to come off the pace. Well, that's the car that you drove, Bill.
That is. As I say, it really is an excellent chassis, and with that turbo V6 Buick, it's got a great power plant, but this crew is relatively inexperienced at setting a car like this up.
Formula Atlantic people.
That's right, yeah. With formula cars, they really don't know how to do it, and it's quite difficult to get a GTP car to work well.
Suspension totally different?
Completely. Yeah, they're running spring rates of almost 3,000 pounds, where they're probably used to 600 or 800.
Bill, are you sure you didn't just wear that car out when you drove it?
Probably.
Yeah, I tried hard to. I had a lot of fun with that.
You saw the 98 Drake Olson cutting through traffic and continuing to pull out in front. Dominating the race is Olson now. Lammers is second. Great manufacturer's battle here in the Lime Rock Grand Prix. Quaker State Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Though all of the Porsches in today's race may look similar, back here under the engine cover, they can be very different. This Wins machine, for example, uses Porsche's old standby, a 6-cylinder, air-cooled, 2 valves per cylinder engine with a single turbocharger. It's been in Porsche use since 1963, in which time it has won 282 IMSA races alone. The Momo car, on the other hand, uses Porsche's engine of the future. Like its older sister, it too is a 6-cylinder design, but there the similarities end. Instead of air-cooled, this one uses water, which means there's no big intercooler and instead 6 smaller radiators on either side. It also has 4 valves per cylinder and 2 turbochargers instead of 1. This engine has won the 24 Hours of Le Mans between 1981 and 1987, and Porsche is going to be looking for big things on this side of the pond in 1989.
Back with you once again live. Speed World ESPN coverage live from Lime Rock and the Grand Prix with 60 laps down, 90 remaining in this 150-lap scramble. As you watch the number 10 from the prototype class, the Hotchkiss Adams car, currently being shown in 8th position. Olson in front, Lammers second, Bravo third, Bryce Cobb fourth, Chip Robinson running 5th, Dyson and John Paul 6th. And in Camel Lights, DeLessep stays first with Charlie Morgan, Turner staying in 2nd position. That's been a good battle all day long.
It sure has, Ken. That the Charlie Morgan car, the 9 car, is giving 79 a real fight. As we see the 98 car driven by Drake Olson, the Toyota, carving its way through traffic. He's a half a lap ahead now.
Just blasting unless something untoward happens with the engine. They've lost a turbo on one occasion here this year. That can happen with a new team, shaking out a new car, new power plant. Let's see what will happen as we watch the 98 going through the S's, up the hill toward the chicane. Drake Olson looking right now as if this is his race, but it's still a long way to go. And with the Jaguar in 2nd place, and that known factor of the Nissan maintaining 3rd, it ain't over. Here's Mike Joy.
Chris Cord, who's won a GTO championship for Dan Gurney's Toyota team, is the listed co-driver with Drake Olson. He's here in his fire suit, but just left the pit, and that's kind of strange. Went back off into the paddock area. It means either A, their planned pit stop is way far off, or B, he's not getting in the car today.
Probably not in the car. You see him lapping Scott Schubot machine, that winner of 3 Camel Light races this year. The yellow cars, the 98, stays well in front.
I'll tell you what else it could be, Ken. When I was driving these, I always tried to go to the bathroom as close as possible to the actual point where I got in the car. I always had this fear of getting in the car, getting buckled in, and then going, oh my God, no.
I forgot something.
Bill, I think you're right, because Drake Olson was telling me that the Toyota is not an easy car to drive, and it's relatively warm today, so I would think they will be making a driver change. I know that they plan to do that. This morning, in talking to Drake, he said they do plan to do a driver change with Chris Cord getting into the 98 car at about the halfway point.
Yeah, I think at the pit stops, it's going to be particularly interesting because we really don't know what the Jaguar is going to do and if they are going to show something. Now look at this,
Here's the
battle's
battle.
closing up again. And if they're going to do something, as soon as they've made their pit stop, they know what the fuel mileage is going to be on this track and this temperature and so on. And if they want to try turning up the wick, that's the time to do it.
Experienced, highly talented Blommers being challenged. Here is Brabham up on the outside, not getting through into turn one.
Blommers came down the front straight. He went all the way to the right, almost into the grass, and he said, "No way are you going to pass me there, Jeff."
But remember, they body slammed each other last year, right in that area of the track. That was quite an incident between Nielsen
John Nielsen,
and Brabham a year ago. Here we are with this new encounter, with this V6 turbo.
Boy, they're getting into a lot of traffic here. Now, this may work in Brabham's favor because if Blommers has to get off the gas, of course, with a turbocharger, he's going to lose that all-important boost.
Charlie Morgan's car right there in front of them, running second in the light.
Talking about fuel consumption, no one really knows what it's going to be at this track because the chicane's being installed. This is the first race with it. Has added between 1 and 4 gear changes per lap. So the teams are not sure about fuel consumption based on prior experience. So they're experimenting it up until this first stop.
Going through the slower, smaller Camel Light prototypes, the second and third place cars, the number 60 Jaguar, Lammers, the number 84 Brabham, Nissan. We're back inside of Jeff Brabham's car as he tries to overhaul Lammers.
Once again, that car immediately in front of us, you can just barely make out through the light. Now, here's a, oh no, he's going to make it. There's a real risky pass going up the hill just before the chicane because he didn't want to lose touch with Lammers.
Time means everything right there, Tom.
The XJR-10 and the Nissan are very, very evenly matched. This race has been going on for close to an hour now. The car's never separated by more than about 3 car lengths.
Now, for viewers out there that have turbocharged cars, when you put your foot on the floor in your own car, you can watch your boost gauge on the dashboard of your car and see how slowly it responds. Watch the gauge underneath the Nissan sign, like right, okay, he's feeding it just gently, gently. There's full throttle. Look how quickly that responded. Almost instantaneous.
Jeff Brabham's got something tricky on that dashboard. He's pushing some button there alongside the Nissan sign.
Nitrous oxide?
Down the straight. He's pushing the nitrous oxide button.
That's Bryce Cobb in the number 61 Jag. He's moving back into things. He's up to 4th place in the V12. Right with him comes the 67 car, down several laps.
It was interesting. They thought they would leave Price and Nielsen in the old Reliable, a car they knew that was a little bit slower, but they know this car inside and out.
John Nielsen in the car, they're saying, and Price Cobb about to get in, is the late report. 15th overall is car number 67, the Busby car that won the 24 Hours of Daytona.
Also, on the Price Cobb car, to try and help them as much as possible, they have put the carbon brakes on this car.
60 is on pit road. Here's car number 60, Lammer, 2nd place car, now on pit road.
Everybody had, they thought the other car was coming in.
Let's go to Chris Economaki. Chris?
And we're down here. It's a rear tire, all 4 tire change, but the driver is staying in the car. And there was a lot of strategy here. They came and told us a 61 car was going to stop. Bryce Cobb has his helmet on over here. And here, the V6 comes in, the new car. A bit of walk and show wizardry here, throwing everybody off kilter here. And there he goes. A pretty good stop, I must say. Remember now, this is a 150-lap race. No one can get 75 laps out of a tank, so there has to be another stop before it's all over for a splash of gas. Back to you.
Chris, he came in at lap 65. He came in on 65. They're now into the 66th lap.
Ken, it's an interesting thing that the number 60 car lost exactly 1 lap because he's come back on the track in precisely the same position he was with the 84 car, only 1 lap down.
That'll move Brabham into 2nd. Presumably Price Cobb and Nielsen come to 3rd. This latest change of events in the Lime Rock Grand Prix. The leader continues to be Olsen. The Toyota stays out in front, still searching that first victory. '23 IMSA prototype cars cranked up for the start of this 150 lap event on this 1.5-mile track. 70 laps are complete, 80 to go. 22 cars still remain in competition. Mike?
Ken, there are very few stock parts on these cars, but one that must be on there per IMSA is brake lights. You see, there's a stack of wires here and test lights. The lead car at the moment doesn't have any. They start out with 2, and they must have at least 1 functioning before they're allowed to leave the pit. So all is not exactly as it ought to be on the lead car. They should be in about 7 more laps.
That could be a very painful pit stop for them. It's something that, as simple as it sounds, it's very, very important.
That doesn't sound very simple. You start trying to trace out
really,
what
look at him just trying to dodge down the straight here and get through traffic. Where do you mount the light, and what do you wire it up to that's not going to interfere, not going to take voltage draw off another system? And it can be very critical on these cars with all their computers.
You saw the second place car draw onto pit road. The Lessa Cochran's car may have a driver change here at second place in Camel Light, making the driver change.
Ferdinand
Morgan's car stays in front.
DeLessep started that car, Ken, and now John Cochran is going to get in the car. He's the one that qualified it on the pole, so we might look for the car to be just a bit faster. The driver change and the fuel and the tires take about 40 seconds on these cars in the pits.
Yeah, they're taking that nose piece off for some reason. There's
something to miss.
It could just be rubber that's on the hot brake itself, like little pieces of rubber on the inside of the wheel. Sometimes will land on the brake rotor and start smoking.
Something more?
I don't know. Maybe a brake problem of some type.
I wonder about that. We're trying to set the nose back on right now, so apparently it may not be as serious as that smoke might have indicated.
The 98 car driven by Drake Olson is approaching the midway point in the race. We're at 72, 73 laps right now. And it's a 150-lap race.
The Toyota runs a 2.1-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine compared to the Nissan and Jag's V6 turbo engine. And we asked Drake Olson, how does this stand up on a long straightaway?
On the long straight, we seem to be pretty good. It's where we seem to lack just a little bit is on the initial throttle response. And we're working on that. We're making good gains, but once you get out of the turn and get the revs coming up, it's got great power and good top-end speed.
In fact, it has good enough power. When I spoke to Price Cobb, the Jaguar driver, he said that was far and away the fastest car at Road Atlanta, a track with an extremely fast back straight.
The lead continues to be controlled, 18 seconds of it, by Drake Olson. Second place, now Brabham, after we saw the turbo V6 pit relatively early. Again, that's part of that secret that you were talking about earlier, Tom Blackhaller. Been over there for a couple of days. Trying to get in there is like trying to crack the Pentagon.
The Jaguar isn't letting anybody know anything about what they're doing. It's a new development project. The turbo V6 is their big hope for the future in the IMSA racing, so they're being very tight-lipped about it.
Ian Norris or anybody say anything about this car?
Well, Howard Minkler's the guy I talked to over there. Howard is a crew head on the XJR-10, and he won't say anything to me. He used to run with me in Formula Fords as an old buddy. He won't say anything.
To find some unguarded source, some quotable but unknown source on that Jaguar that continues hold its head up here in 4th position after its pit stop. And we've yet to see the other leaders come on pit road for fuel or tire. Ooh, a little risky there.
Real traffic jam right
Drake Olson's having a terrible time with number 79, John Cochran. John had his door open, and he just closed it, and he's holding up the leader something awful. Now there, Drake Olson gets by him.
Now, what's really impressive here, with one more lap, the Toyota will be at the halfway mark and can do this race on a single pit stop. That's dreadful news for their competitors. 61 is
indeed. Down to the halfway mark in the race. And that Toyota looks like it has the legs to make one stop and go the distance from there. Dan Gurney's done some real planning with this one. Here you see the 61 car on pit road.
That's the
Bob
V12.
Nielsen car, the V12 Jag, XJR-9. Left rear.
I think they put, fresh Dunlops on the left-hand side. They're leaving the right ones on there.
This car was running 3rd. And the leader may be coming in the next lap. Here he is in the chicane.
I think he's 12 seconds ahead of Jeff Brabham now, Ken. I just saw the pit board. It said Jeff -12, which to me means that he's 12 seconds behind that Toyota. So the pit stops could make the difference here.
Let's see if he elects to come into the pits at this time.
Doesn't look like it. I think he's past the entrance now.
Wow. we're showing 76 laps complete. That thing really has some range.
My gee, that gets economy. But Brabham is coming into the pits this lap.
And he was only 12 seconds behind the Toyota. He was only 12 seconds behind the 98 car, so he has been gaining quite a bit in the last 10 or 15 laps.
And this is the only stop he'll have to make if all goes well. Here's Chris.
Okay, and apparently the doors are staying closed on car 84, the Nissan tire change. He came awfully close to the inside wall, and it's making work difficult for the men changing the right side tires. It would have been better if he was a couple of feet further out. The gasoline flow is taking longer than the tire changes, and there it is. The jack goes down and stalls the engine. Stalls the engine on the way out. This is a caution, and they're pushing, and it catches, and away he goes.
Extra time on pit road. You could hear it cough and not come to life.
That extra 2 or 3 seconds could turn out to be very, very important here because he was only 12 seconds behind. He closed from 20 seconds behind to 12 seconds behind just before his pit stop. Now Jeff Brabham's back out in the Nissan at speed and will continue the race.
Could be the race. Waiting on the 98 now. Expecting him in. We have 76 complete. And staying out there, Drake Olson from Bridgewater, Connecticut, through the chicane another time.
And you can see just in the background, look, you will see Brabham's car. He is very close to Olson. That pit stop helped him tremendously. It appeared to me that he's only 3 or 4 seconds back of the Toyota.
So that wasn't a bad pit stop. That means he's just about 1 lap behind.
There we have first and second right there in your picture. Headlights on, Brabham saying, Drake, I'm coming.
Another lap in the books, and Olson continues to run it like full tanks on the car number 84. There's the 83 of Chip Robinson now on pit road. Costas Los in that Pontiac Spice has come up to fifth spot on the number 33 car that had such a good lap out here and then got crunched in its second lap in the rain. He turned one very hot lap, and the second lap he backed it into the bank.
Heartbreaking loss at West Palm Beach for Costas Los in the Pontiac Spice. He had the race won and unfortunately turned it over to a very slow co-driver. Steadily slipped back further and further.
Drake Olson continues to turn this into an economy run, but now he's coming in for fuel. Leader is on pit road. Drake Olson finally comes in. Now remember, they've got to work on the back end of this car a bit too, and Mike Joy is there.
And Ken, there are no brake lights, so the engine cover is coming off, and the mechanic is taking a look, trying to trace those wires as they put 4 new Goodyear tires on the machine. And Bill Adam was right. Chris Cord had gone to make a little pit stop of his own. He comes back. He is all suited up and ready to go, but he's about 5 feet behind the pit wall, just watching and waiting. The door comes up, having a word with Drake, and now Chris waiting to come across. Nope, just going to look in and have a look. Now they've got to find that wiring problem for IMSA to let them go off pit road.
What a heartbreaking time for them right now to be losing a race because of a light not working.
Here comes Brabham down the front straight to take the lead. Here he comes. Here comes the 84 car, and he passes the Toyota while it's in the pits.
Still working on car number 98. But for one tail light. Jeff Brabham now in first.
How quickly it changes.
Coming back on the course. I believe he has fallen all the way to third with that pit stop. There's the 83 car, which is back some. That is not the leader. 83 is back in 6th spot by our count. 84 is your leader. That would be Brabham. In the 2nd spot is Lammers in that V6 Jag Turbo. Drake Olson, Chris Cord coming to 3rd. Cobb Nielsen in 4th. More in a moment. We're back with you live as you're watching number 84. Jeff Brabham, winner here a year ago, back out in front, about to put a lap on car number 99. Juan Fangio II is now driving the 2nd Gurney car as Brabham pulls away from the field. Jan Lammers is in 2nd for Jag. Number 98 goes back to 3rd. Drake Olson still at the controls. Bryce Kopp driving in John Nielsen in the Jaguar is 4th, Costas Loos is 5th. An update on that number 98 pit stop. Here's Chris Economac.
Well, you've heard about bad vibes. Well, that's what the front straightaway at Lime Rock gives prototype cars. Bad vibes. The vibration caused the number 67 Porsche to break its nose piece. Now the vibrations have just caused the wires on the number 98 car for the brake lights to separate. Now they start at the driver's feet, they go through the car to the taillights. They located where the brake was back by the taillights and they fixed it. All in 1 minute and 11 seconds. An age of time in racing pit stops. Car's back in 3rd place now, hopefully okay for the rest of the distance. Back to you.
Do they think they can pick it back up, Chris?
Well, I didn't ask them that, but Drake Olson is probably the fastest of the clutch drivers. He is going to, we can clock it from lap to lap. I'm sure he's going to close the interval. Whether he'll close it all the way or not, only time will tell.
Chris, do you think they're going to change drivers now?
Oh, I don't think so, no, because they've made it to the halfway point on the fuel.
Yep.
So they can go now all the way.
So he's in good shape.
That's right, except he's not where he wants to be.
That's for sure. He's back in 3rd.
Remember, that car is the smallest engine car in the race, 2.1 liters in the prototype category, so they're asking a lot from an engine that small.
Here's the 33 Costas Loos in the pits. That is the Loos machine on pit road and back out again. 5th place car, the Pontiac Spice. Tom?
The 1 minute and 11 second pit stop cost Drake Olson at least a lap on the race course. So he is now 45 or 50 seconds behind this 84 Nissan driven by Jeff Brabham.
And the difference between 1st and 2nd is about 23 seconds. That's between Brabham in front, Lammers and the Jaguar in 2nd place. Well, it looks like Nissan is back on top again here, and they've really had to fight for it, but they were given a tremendous break when the number 98 car had this problem with the brake lights.
Yeah, I think this is a good sign for the future, that instead of the Nissan taking the lead and running off and hiding, it's a real battle, and now they have actually had to depend on a failure on the Toyota to take this lead.
Bill Adam, Tom Blackcaller, Ken Squire topside here, Chris Economaki and Mike Joy in the pits, and it's our live coverage, the ESPN Sports World, Speed World, of the Lime Rock Grand Prix here today. Speed World delighted to bring you this one. It's a great Mexican Grand Prix yesterday. Bob Varsha bringing you the action there. Senna comes home victorious. Great day for the Brazilians yesterday, winning a couple of majors.
Boy, wasn't it? Serious celebration last night.
My wife loved it. She's a Brazilian. She just thinks that's great.
Can you imagine if they took those kart cars down to Brazil, the kind of reception they would receive with Raul Boesel doing so well? Here's the mid-race report from Volkswagen, brought to you by the German-engineered Volkswagens and your Volkswagen dealer. Drake Olson commanded much of the going in the first half of the race, led 75 laps, averaging 108 miles per hour before a brake light bit him. Put 84 out into the front. No cautions. He was the leader. He dominated from the outset. 23 officially took the flag. He only lost 2. 5 cars remain on the lead lap among the prototype class, and there's one of the Nissans,
number 83,
running very slowly. Chip Robinson
off track once again.
Here. The Schubert car is out. The Dow and Bell Camel Light car, number 97, has retired from the event. Those are the 2 that have dropped out. Pretty strong running by these cars on a track that has taken so much frost in the winter and gives them such fits.
Well, I think Sebring is preparatory for this. You run at Sebring for 2 or 3 laps, and you can do 6 laps anyplace else. 6 hours anyplace else.
Chip Robinson back in it again in car number 83, being shown 6 overall on the field, having some trouble again with that car. Back with the leader, Jeff Brabham, now from Indiana, originally from Australia, commanding here at Lime Rock. Will it be 2 years in a row for Nissan? Jeff Brabham continues to dominate at this point. The whole half of the first was all car number 98. Now it's number 84. That first half completely in Toyota's camp. Now Nissan takes over. Remember that when he came out, the engine failed to fire for a moment. He lost some time in there, and they are still showing the 98 car in 3rd position. The 98, which had that stop for that brake light situation, stays up there in 3rd, and Lammers sustains the 2nd position in the V6 Jag Turbo.
Do you think a NASCAR or pace car might help things here?
What do you mean by that? Here's Costas Los in the number 33. Now, this is the car that had that very quick lap in the wet on Saturday. Made one lap. He tried to better it the next time out, spun it off, bent up the rear of the car, and he's only had 3 laps in it of training since that incident took place. Costas Los making a good run at the present time, and the Pontiac Spice 5th place overall for Monte Carlo.
Yeah, again, the chassis on that Spice is so good. We've watched it repeatedly at West Palm Beach and at different tracks. It really works well. And the only thing that's holding it back is, unfortunately, the normally aspirated motor, which the Jaguar people feel just won't cut it. And that's the reason for going to a Turbo 6 now.
But, Bill, he's been coming right up. The 33 car has been steadily gaining. He's up to 5th place now and looking very, very strong. He's as the race gets older, he seems to get stronger.
Both of you seem very high on Costas Los.
Oh, yeah. I like him a lot as a driver. I think he does a really nice job at it, and I love this particular chassis. The fellows on the crew, and Costas agrees, say that the car is slow to react at the start of a race because it just doesn't warm up the tires quickly. So they say they're slow for the first 5 or 6 laps. And usually what happens is people will jump out.
Back with the leader again. You saw the 19 car there. That was second in Camel Light. Morgan and Turner's automobile. And here is the leader in heavy traffic going down into that very hard-braking turn 1. Fastest spot on the track. And this very tight down to 3rd gear through this big sweeper.
Jeff Brabham in the 84 Nissan, has gotten ahead in this race in the pits. He was running 3rd behind the XJR-10 Jaguar and behind the Toyota. The Toyota was clearly fastest. They went into the pits. The Brabham pit stop was much better. The Toyota pit stop was really bad, and they came out with the order reversed.
Well, not so much bad, but they had a far more serious problem trying to trace that wiring out and find where they had the lighting problem on the back of it. 84 had a cough that nearly cost them. They were able to get it fired up, but that was a heartbeat moment. They're pitted all the way at the end of pit road, and for just a moment, it failed to fire. But they have been efficient. That, again, is the work of Kaz Kastner, the overall organizer down there with Nissan for Don Devendorf.
He's California's Tom Walkinshaw from Michigan's Roger Penske.
Here is the 84 staying first. Palmer stays second. Wilson third. Price Cobb now driving in that second Jag. The V12 lies fourth. Costas Los being shown fifth. And the 83 in the 6th position. Leading in Camel Light, Charlie Morgan and Jeff Perner. Glens Falls, New York. Morgan out of Conway, Arizona. Second place car would be the 19 car. And third is Jim Downing and Howard Katz.
Watching something like this makes me so appreciative of an in-car camera. You watch Jeff go around here, and everything is just smooth and easy, and you think, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. You have no idea just how hard he's working until we get inside of that camera. And here we have courtesy of the camera.
There he goes with the nitrous
button.
Yep.
Jeff, we saw that.
He's doing that down the front straight every time.
Here he goes. Shot.
Just look at the effort that goes into making that car look as smooth as glass. You can see he gets braked edge to edge in the pavement. Watch how tight he'll get into the apex. Right there, just ticking inches away. And again, this corner, right there at the inside, sliding right back over to the outside, using up all of the road, trying to make as big an arc as he can through these corners to keep carrying speed.
And the enormous downforce of the Nissan really makes the car feel the road straight up to the wheel.
In a turbo car like this, how much punch does that nitrous oxide give you?
Oh, boy, if they had nitrous on a turbo, it'd probably blow the turbo right off.
Well, I don't know what that is, but right up there on the right-hand side of the Nissan sign, there is a little button that he pushes going down the straight each time.
Resetting his watch.
You know, we've always talked about the tremendous braking capabilities. Maybe it's a little drag chute that pops out.
Let's go to Mike Joy.
Jim Downing has just climbed out of his Camel Light, and Jim, I know you were up front for a while. Drop back a bit.
Well, you know, it's been only the second time this year I've had my Mazda in the lead. We were really running well. We've worked hard for this race, and we have an ignition problem. You know, we drop back suddenly, and it's cutting out on us cold for about a second and a half, then it comes back on, and it's pretty exciting. But it's a long race yet. If it cleaned itself up, we might be able to get back in it. But the Mazda's run as good as it ever has.
You've got a unique apparatus. I'll ask you to turn to the right and just show it to us a bit here. It's a cowling around the helmet and a shoulder brace. What's all that about?
Well, it's a safety device that we hope in the future that race drivers will be able to utilize so that in a bad accident they don't hurt their neck, spinal column. It's also an anti-fatigue device if you want it to be.
Jim Downing, always thinking ahead.
Howard Katz is now in the car from New York City in Jim Downing's number 63.
Howard was telling me about that cutout problem this morning, and the instrument just cut out cold. Jim Downing has been working with his own electronic management system on the Mazda engine, and he hopes to get a little more power out of it, but it's cutting out a little bit.
So here's Jeff Brabham going for 2 in a row at Lime Rock and looking very strong with now 95 laps complete, 54 to go. We're back with you live here on Speed World from ESPN, bringing you this Grand Prix event for IMSA prototype cars. Lime Rock, Connecticut is the place. A record crowd is here today, and they're all watching this car, the Nissan Brabham, dominating in the second half of the race the way Toyota did in the first half. Bill Adam is here, Tom Blackhaller, I'm Ken Squire, Chris Economaki and Mike Joy along to bring you the highlights of what has been a very dramatic race as the Toyota was stretching to win its first event ever, had a lighting problem with the rear brakes, and they couldn't show the other folks just as 84 is now when they were tapping them. Had to come in. It cost them a lengthy time on pit road and dropped them to 3rd spot in the standings. Lamber's Jaguar has taken over in 2nd place again. The new car, V6 twin turbo. Price Cobb and John Nielsen, the number 61 Jag, is lying 4th, and the Pontiac Spice of Costas Lowe's is in 5th. Now, 1st to 3rd overall is getting a little interesting, gentlemen.
It sure is, Ken. 1st to 3rd, we're showing it something like 30 seconds, and if that's true, that means that Drake Olson in the number 98 Toyota has enough speed to catch this car, Jeff Brabham's Nissan, because he stretched out more than that in the first 50 laps.
After an 8-race winning streak in 1988, Nissan is a major contender for Lime Rock here in '89. A year ago at Lime Rock, Jeff Brabham and Nissan won their 3rd straight Camel GT race en route to a record 8 straight wins, Jeff's first series championship, and a reputation of being close to unbeatable. 1989 brought new rules, including a smaller air inlet that choked some 60 horsepower out of the Nissan's potent turbocharged V6 engine. Critics sneered that all 1988 proved was that the Nissan was a pure sprinter and not a true endurance racer. Brabham and new teammate Chip Robinson responded by leading for half of the season opening 24 hours of Daytona. And then they buried the field to win the 12 hours of Sebring. In between, Brabham and Robinson won the rich Miami Grand Prix street race. After Sebring, they came from behind for the 2nd straight year to win a stirring duel with Jaguar at Georgia's Road Atlanta. It began to look like 1988 all over again. At West Palm Beach, Florida, Brabham scored his 4th pole in 5 races, but this time the winning streak ended at 3 with a broken engine, a rare occurrence for the usually reliable Nissan team. The competition hopes for a repeat of West Palm here today at Lime Rock, for if another string starts, it could take Nissan to their first manufacturer's championship.
I think we're going to be strong and we have a chance to win, and really you can't ask for more than that. I mean, there's no way we're going to have an 8-race win streak again. I mean, that was last year was just unbelievable and something we'll probably never repeat. But if we can win our share and stay in contention and hopefully get our new car before the end of the year, then we have a chance, you know.
One of the interesting questions is how soon they're going to start selling some of those Nissans to privateers. That could happen, I think, this year, that we'd see some in the hands of others than the 2 factory cars we're seeing here today.
Well, if you'd be good enough to lend me the money, I'll be glad to stand in line.
Sure, and I know that Tom's good for half.
Sure, Ken. Listen, with your money, we can go race the Nissan factory. Let's do it.
Okay, for about, what, an 1/8 of a lap? Yeah. Car number 84 in front of there. You see the 19 car. That is Hessert driving, and he is in 2nd place in Camel Light. Charlie Morgan stays 1st at the present time. Right behind you have the 2nd place car in Camel Light, Hessert, out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and directly behind him comes the 84. Now the 84 swaps it around and goes up in front of the bigger, with that bigger engine, more power in these giant prototypes over the Camel Light cars. More on ESPN Speed World from Lime Rock in a moment. We're back watching the leader, Jeff Brabham, with a 29-second advantage for Nissan over the 2nd place V6 Turbo Jag of Jan Lammers. Here you see the 84 in front. The report is that it's 29 seconds back, Tom, to that second place car, and then another 37 seconds back to the third place car.
So it's about a half a lap between the leader and this number 60, the XJR-10 Turbo Jaguar, and 10 seconds behind this Jaguar is the number 98 Toyota driven by Drake Olson, who was the fastest car in the first half of the race until they had to find a loose wire in a pit stop.
Cost them 1 minute and 10 seconds on pit road. Right behind the 98 car is 61. That's the V12. Here's Chris Economaki with an update.
Well, I'm just talking to Phil Remington, Dan Gurney's #1 man in the Toyota pit. Drake Olson was closing on leader Jeff Brabham, eliminating, shortening up that interval, and then Brabham got to work to go. And Brabham is now holding Olson. Olson made up over 11 seconds after he came out of the pits on the leader Brabham, but now the word has been given to Brabham, and it's sort of a status quo there. Depending upon who you root for, the news is either good or bad.
Here's the 60 car getting around the Camel Light. Number 63, Howard Katz, running third in the Camel Light series. 84 car in front. Interval staying about a half minute between this car and the second place car of Lobbers. Laps complete. 106 are in the book. 44 remain.
44 laps is just barely enough time for the 98 Toyota to make a run at the XJR-10 Jag and possibly give Brabham some trouble. But Brabham has been told to pick up the pace, as Chris said, and has now got a pace about equal to Drake Olson in the Toyota.
Remember, that second place Jag came in a little early. We may have to stop one more time out here today.
Yeah,
I can change things around a little. Again, reviewing the Light Series. Charlie Morgan is first, Hessert second. The Downing car that Howard Katz is now driving shows third. The Lessons, number 79, has fallen to fourth.
That's going to tighten up the Lights points, Ken. That's going to make it everybody about equal because Scott Schubat's out of the race.
On from here to Mid-Ohio for the Camel Series. Great competition. Then, of course, July 2nd, Watkins Glen, New York. This will be the last race for which John Bishop will officiate. He steps down as president next Thursday of the International Motorsports Association. The group has been sold. Thought he'd be in here another year. This will be his final race today. Bought himself a new airplane, they tell me. Of course, John loves to fly as much as he's loved motorsports. What a great job he has done. What a contribution John Bishop has made to American road racing.
It really is remarkable. I remember reading when he left the SCCA to form this fledgling upstart IMSA series, and everybody wondered what it was. But I guess with Camel's help, they really have built what is probably the finest road racing series in the world.
Way back in the early 70s, I think they had 350 people at their first event.
Pocono, Pennsylvania. And they ran it on an oval with, I believe, Formula Ford or Formula Land, maybe Super B. Anyway, here's that number 60 that stays in second place. I'll tell you what I've liked about John Bishop for years was he stood up and was counted in this business of insurance for drivers. Made a major contribution to the sport, made a lot of people think about it, and it has been a very positive thing that he's done. In fact, almost everything in the sport in road racing that has happened recently, I think, as far as road racing goes, John Bishop's had a hand in it. He'll be missed.
Yeah, the one thing I would like to see in the future, and I know Bishop had tried to do it and was unfortunately unsuccessful, is some sort of parity between a normally aspirated motor and a turbocharged engine. I would like to see things get away from this incredible cost of a turbo motor.
That's the big problem with the prototypes, for sure. But it is a manufacturer's championship, and when you compare this to Group C in Europe, this is better racing.
Oh, definitely. I think this is the finest racing ever. It's just sad, though, that unless you are a Nissan driver, you're flat out of luck. And nowadays, you can't even buy
Well,
a
hold the
Porsche.
phone, because here comes Toyota. It's 98. They're beginning to get their act together, Tom.
Yeah, they sure are, Ken. And I think the problem that Bill was alluding to is the manufacturers making the price of poker go way up. It's a tough one. If you don't have a Chevrolet motor, you can't run at Indy. If you don't have a turbo motor, you can't run at IMSA. It's just it's an age-old problem, and it's a very tough solution because when the businessmen get in there, they want to make sure that they win.
And when you talk about manufacturers' championships, you're talking about the businessmen. Here's the 98 car. This is your third-place machine. Drake Olson at the keyboard. He's done a great job.
Now, just on the front, straight right in front of us, we saw some action getting very hot and heavy there with the Nissan and the Miller Porsche coming together, breaking into turn one. So Bob Wallach may be a few laps out, but he definitely has not lost any of the fire.
He's more than a few laps out. He's back now in 11th position, showing, what, 103, 111 laps complete. And we are...
Now, we've seen a lot of incidents with Chip Robinson today, and that, unfortunately, that was another one.
Jeff Brabham is doing a whale of a job here now. He's picked the pace up. This 84 car now is holding the lead. He's holding his half-lap lead over the XJR-10 Jaguar, the number 60, driven by Jan Lammers, and he's holding his lead over Drake Olson.
That 67 car is 9 laps down. The 67 car, Bob Wallach, 9 laps down, with now 39 laps left to go. We're live with you at Lime Rock Speed World on ESPN, presenting the Lime Rock Grand Prix, the International Motorsports Association, prototype racing. Here you see the leader. It's the Nissan, and right in front of him is the 11th place car, the Porsche 962. Porsche has won 2 races this year, Nissan 3. But it looks like it's going to be Nissan, Toyota, and Jaguar as the year continues, as those 962s get older in the tooth.
Yeah, and look at this sandwich here. We got Chip Robinson leading. There's Bob Wallach right there, the 67 car, and Jeff Brabham is right. Look at this. There's Wallach. Boy, talk about getting the fire up. He's way back.
That's John Andretti.
That is John Andretti. Yep. Just notice the helmet. He's got fire, and he's trying to get out there and play. He had a ball at Indianapolis yesterday, and now he wants to go over here and play some more.
John must really like to drive race cars.
He loves to drive race cars.
You know, and I thought the job he did at West Palm Beach was really an outstanding performance. I was so impressed with him.
I thought he did pretty well over in Miami. After Wallach stepped away from the car, he just took it over, and nothing was right for him in the car. He went out and drove it.
Chip Robinson's braking on the downhill turn. It's very interesting. I just saw him brake at the apex.
Let's go to the pits and find out how that 67 was doing.
I'm standing here with Bob Wallach, the starting driver of the car. Bob, something broke on the car. Where did it break, and how fast were you going, and what was it like at the wheel?
Well, I wasn't going very fast because this track is quite slow. The nose frame broke, which holds the bodywork up, and it developed a bad understeer push. So I noticed that something was wrong. I didn't really know that it was a nose frame. I thought I had a puncture, so I came in, and the mechanics find out, and I changed it.
A lot of the drivers have said the track is bumpy. How bumpy is it compared to some international circuits you've been on?
Well, some of the international circuits are bumpy, like Fuji in Japan, for instance, and this one is real bad.
John is out there in the car. Will he finish the race?
Yes, I think so. We shouldn't have any problems. We're fine on fuel, and the car runs okay. Unfortunately, it's several laps down.
Well, better luck next time. Thanks for stopping by. Bob Wallach, the French driver, who's a Mercedes-Benz dealer and races a Porsche.
The Nissan folks are concerned about the nitrous oxide. That is a telemetry button that they are pushing. That is not the nitrous oxide, which is highly illegal.
Made a great story, though.
Yeah, it sure did. No such thing in...
Whoop, look at this. Oh, there's Nissan sliding past us.
60 and 98, 60 and 98.
Looks like Andretti is going really awfully slowly.
Awfully slow. He's really come down here, and he's pulling off.
He's out of it.
There is a problem.
Oh, that's too bad. Car number 67 off to the inside. And that looks like it could be terminal for John Andretti in the Jim Busby car today.
Yeah, I would expect they may retire it at this point. It really doesn't do anything for them to go out and risk the car further, because they're so far back in the standings now that the few points they gain may not be worth the risk of their machinery.
Looks like he's lost power totally. He's coasting into the pits here.
60 and 98 on
Got a note from John Higgins with Nissan.
Oh, he lost. Look at this left front wheel.
Tire coming off. It's rolling right down in front of us, right across the stripe. Comes down across the start-finish line. It's rolling down toward the Nissan pits right now, and out of pit road. In fact, it may go back out onto the track. Let's go to Mike Joy. They're trying to haul that thing down. Mike?
And Ken, we get a good look at the spindle here that's on the left front. That's the wheel that probably takes the most abuse here at Lime Rock. Almost every corner here is to the left. The spindle does not appear to be damaged, and the threads that hold the one single wheel retaining nut look okay. Since it only came off a few feet back, the brake disc is not damaged, nor is the caliper. So they'll put new wheels and tires all the way around. There is a retaining clip to hold that nut if it should come unthreaded, and it, of course, along with the nut, are gone.
I think that might explain John Andretti going so slow. He obviously was aware of exactly what the problem was. May even have seen that big locking nut come off and fly over the fence.
Ken, just like in NASCAR land, the crewman always has a spare nut or two right there on his belt. He just whipped it off there, broke the tie wrap, and was there to put it on. So you know, carry spares hanging all over for whatever you need. There is now a problem with the thread. The nut will not seat all the way. They're going to put a little oil, a little stuff on it here, and hopefully get that thing seated and get it back in the race.
While Brabham commands the race, here's the squabble. It is for second spot. There you see the number 60 in second spot. Moving under a Camel Light car, and the 98 is right there. Drake Olson ready to challenge for second position.
Drake Olson lost about 5 seconds in the chicane there, Ken. He had come up, he'd reeled in the Jaguar about 10 seconds in 10 laps. He just lost 3 or 4 of those precious seconds in that chicane behind the Camel Light car.
See if he can pick it up here. He's back in the main straightaway, and looks like he's ready to come back and try once again for second spot. We'll be back to Lime Rock in a moment. The new Jag Challenger holds on in second place, but here comes the Toyota, number 98. It was there once, knocking on the door, came to the chicane, into heavy traffic, fell back a few seconds, now tries to regain that ground. Here's the battle for second. 121 laps are complete, 29 remaining this afternoon in this battle for second. It is Lammers there, and the challenger is Drake Olson.
Drake Olson was right on the tail of Lammers until they got into the chicane about 4 laps ago, and it's going to take about another 5 laps for Drake Olson to reel Lammers back in.
Price Cobb's car is in fourth. That's the second Jag. Costas Los and the Spice Pontiac stays fifth on the field. And number 83, that other Nissan. There's the 99 down.
That's the really chicane. I think that's Fangio, and he's trying to refire the car, but he's actually hooked up on that curbing. Look at the flame coming out the top there. He's flipping the gas. We're trying to get off the curbing right now. He spun. It's very difficult to tell right there. It looks like he is spun coming into the chicane.
Well, this is the opportunity for IMSA to turn this into a real race.
Here we go.
Let's have a full course caution.
It's Fangio, and they're trying to push him off here.
Now, see with the ground clearance, these cars have a 2.5-inch minimum ground clearance. And look at this. Look at it rocking back and forth. The car is sitting on the concrete.
Well, if they can't get it off there, that's what they're motioning. You may get a full course caution and bring this field all back together.
Yeah, the marshal's telling them to shut the motor off. They can't move it. We will get a pace car out.
Terrible break for Brabham. The advantage with Lammers.
Wonderful break.
With the Toyota.
That's right.
And that 98 does have to pit. This can fall in their direction considerably here now. Yellow is out in that turn, but it's not full course at this time. That is not a full course caution at this moment. We'll be back with more in Lime Rock in a moment. Car number 98 is off the pace. Drake Olson, who's been challenging, moving in on that Jag in second spot, has slowed down, and now we're getting a full course caution. He's not slowing for the caution. There is a full course caution. It's caused by car number 99, Fangio, the mate to number 98. It was running in 7th place when it came into problems with the chicane, that new chicane here at Lime Rock this year. There it sits, and that's what has to be removed before we can continue. Some corner workers came out. Now car number 60 is pitting. Remember, it made an early pit stop. It is now on pit road. Lammers is in the Turbo V6. 98 slow on the course.
60 in the pits.
Car number 60, they're working on it down to our right, changing tires. Looks like a Ford left side tire change for sure. Left side rubber only, and fuel on car number 60.
Now, I don't know, Ken. I think it may have been a mistake to bring the 60 car in. He has to get out before Brabham does, and Brabham's coming down the straight. He didn't make it.
Pace car is coming out. Pace car is rolling directly in front of him.
They should not wave him past at this point. The pace car should hold that Jag behind.
And if that is the case, it's a major advantage for car number 84, Brabham.
Terrible miscalculation.
Up, he's coming down to the inside and going by.
All right, this is going to be a race.
Well, this is interesting.
Yeah, Yeah, they're letting everybody by up to Brabham. There were pace car went out ahead of about 8 cars, including the Jaguar, and they're letting all the cars by. Now the Jag gets to catch up to the tail end of the pack.
Let's go to Mike Joy.
Exactly right. He is ahead of the exit of pit road of the lead car, so he does get the pass. They have to send the safety car out, otherwise he'll never overhaul that Nissan. One Toyota's off the pace, the other one's off the track. Gary Martin, what's happened to your race car? Say, what's happened to your race car?
He spun off and it high-centered over there on the curbing, and he can't get it going. They're trying to push him off right now.
Ken, we noticed that we took a drive up there this morning. The curbing on the inside of the chicane as you approach it from the bottom of the hill. If you get up on there, you're going to stay up on there. It's pretty tall, and it's meant to discourage drivers from short hopping it.
Mike, you might ask him about this 98 car. It sounds to us like it's out of headers or something.
Big conference going on about that car right now. We'll try to move in and get a word in a moment.
Thanks, Mike. Car number 98 came by, and something sure sounded amiss. Bryce Cobb car stays in 4th. Costas Los Spice Pontiac 5th. Brabham 6th. And the number 16 car have been running back in the 8th position with 99 falling down. That would move Rob Dyson up into the 7th position. Field coming by in the main straightaway. Pace car has them all in tow. Jeff Brabham out in front, trying to win it again for the 2nd straight year at Lime Rock for Nissan. We're live with you at Lime Rock. ESPN Speed World bringing you the action of the Lime Rock Grand Prix. We're continuing in the Toyota pit. I believe Mike Joy is there. We're getting ready for a green flag restart shortly. Mike, what's the story?
The damage to the Fangio car when he went up on the curbing, he has a radius rod at the rear that helps adjust the rear alignment. They have to replace that. It's bent. That's the 99. On the 98 car, they've been on the horn talking to Drake Olson. And jump in here for a second, Gary Donahoe. What is your driver's problem? You've slowed a bit. What noise from that car?
We're down 1 cylinder at this point.
And they're not sure exactly the reason for that, if he's pulled a piston, but they've told him just now on the radio to watch his water temperature and try to bring it home.
4 cars in the lead lap. The Nissan leading. Number 98, cylinder down, running in 2nd. V6 Jag in 3rd, Bryce Cobb 4th. Then 2 laps back, Costas Los 5th. It was the same lap, Chip Robinson. Back under green. Down to that big turn number 1, 3rd gear corner. And Jeff Brabham drives away once again. 10 wins last year, 8 in a row for this incredible Don Devendorf creation.
You can see the tremendous advantage it gives you by being the car immediately behind the pace car. He now has clear track and will have for quite a few laps. The number 60 Jaguar, for example, is going to have to fight his way through the pack. He's got a lot of traffic to try and get through.
The 84 car, Jeff Brabham, will have a 10 to 15 second lead on number 60, John Hommers, before he ever comes out.
129 complete, 21 to go. Charles Morgan, Jeff Perner continue to lead in the Camel Light Series. The Conway, Arizona driver in car number 9, still out in front as he has been for the past 50 laps in that 2nd category. Say Conway, Arkansas. Conway, Arizona, sorry. Conway, Arkansas.
This is interesting. I believe the Cherry Hill Classic Cars is the company owned by Tom Hessert, who is running in 2nd place right now. So
Tom ended up in the 19 car, Bill, which is right in front of the number 9 car now. So
that's his old car with David Loring, the same livery they ran a year ago.
I believe he's a lap back. I don't think that we were showing number 9 being the leader with 19 being in 2nd place in Camel Light. Although on the track, it's opposite.
That is reported as the leader, car number 9. I tell you, I wish these guys could get a couple of races unto themselves. It's a great division, this Camel Light Series.
Enormously close racing. The cars qualified within a half a second of each other, the top 5 cars, and they race nose to tail all the time with about 5 drivers up in the points within a few points of each other.
Very difficult for them. Of course, they have to run with the prototypes, and they really give the prototypes something to run around. It's very serious. They're 67 retiring. Very serious for these big cars to have some competition, and because these cars are so expensive, and there's that 24-year-old friend.
Yeah, Jeff Briotti.
Yep.
He just wanted to go down and make sure the escape road was safe to go down if he had to.
But they're a good division. There you see the number 63, the Downing car. That's in 3rd spot. Howard Katz is still at the controls. There's the Barodi number 24. It's been off the pace here the past 30 or 40 laps. But you really get a sense of the speed of these giant prototypes when you see them against these Camel light cars, which are still plenty quick.
They are very, very fast, and it's, as you say, it's unfortunate that they tend to look slow by comparison, but in actual fact, they're extremely quick little racers.
Here at Lime Rock, the Camel light cars are only about 4 seconds a lap slower than the prototypes. This prototype 84 Nissan being driven by Jeff Brabham now has a commanding lead. They have about 15 seconds over the Jaguar, the XJR-10, driven by Jan Lammers, which is having a marvelous debut.
Jeff Brabham out in front, driving so beautifully here today. Still has eyes on Indy for some time. Hope to get a crack this year. Didn't happen. Danny Sullivan did his own work. Well, what does he do for recreation?
My wife and I really enjoy water sports, and we live on a lake in Indianapolis, so we go out and water ski, jet ski, windsurf, and all those sort of things. And then we live down in Florida during the winter time. We like to go diving and do all those things down there as well. So, you know, we're kind of into that, and I really like to play golf and, you know, just anything to get my mind off racing, which is very difficult. I mean,
Windsurfing. Tom, you and I are going to have to try that someday.
Really? My center of gravity is too high for windsurfing.
Don Devendorf's great creation stays out in front. A little further back in the pack. Here you see the 60 and the 61 gathered up.
That gives you a good...
at it, and they're at it for second place. Yeah, I imagine they're under team orders, huh, gentlemen?
I expect they will be. In one of my conversations with Tom Waukich, I asked him something about what if, for example, Price Cobb wanted to drive the turbo instead of the V12, and he said, no, my drivers do what they're told.
Lammers in that second position, and then number 61 now being driven by Cobb, and they're reporting that 98 is really slowing down at this point.
Look at the smoke right there.
They lost a cylinder, as Mike Joy reported to us, and now it looks like they're going to be completely out of the race. They're going to lose their top 5. That's a shame.
Second pole of 1989, but their first victory will not come at Lime Rock today. Perhaps at Mid-Ohio a week away. Perhaps July 2nd at Watkins Glen. You'll see that live on ESPN. Unfortunate for Dan Gurney. They've certainly put a lot of effort into these cars and gave us a great performance for half the distance. But the second half is dominated by the blue, red, and white of the Don Devendorf team.
This is reminiscent of the teething problems that the Nissan had for 3 years in the IMSA circuit. They qualify on the pole and then run strongly in the first part of the race and have problems. It's exactly what's happened to Toyota here. He was by far the strongest car in the first half of the race. He had a 32nd or a 1/2 lap lead, and now you see the lack of a cylinder causing the oil to blow by and out the exhaust.
I'd say it's more than one cylinder now.
Reminiscent of a Stanley steamer right now.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like 1908 and Stanley Brothers. Francis Marriott and all of that.
You remember that, do you?
Oh, yes, indeed. What, 130 miles an hour at the beach before the 1910?
This is a shot from our Toyota truck blimp, which gives us a great pit angle.
Venus at 5.
Here you see car number 98 on pit road, and I'm sure that that's it for the day. That's too bad. They certainly gave it their best shot. Dan will be back. You can be sure of that.
Definitely will. It's a really great effort on their part, and they all deserve tremendous congratulations for it. Just heartbreaking for Drake right now. Sitting in the car saying, no, like, why couldn't this race have been 50 laps shorter?
Well, they're certainly on the right track, though. The competition for this car, the 84 Nissan driven by Jeff Brabham, is certainly going to come from Toyota in the future.
About 15 laps to go, and for Don Devendorf, what a moment. You know, he's won everything. 77 in the RS Series, and then there was the GTU racing and GTO in 82, and had a string of 20 straight SCCA C sedan wins over the years, back in the early 70s. And of course, last year, 8 in a row in this magnificent car, and it's going to do it again today unless something untoward happens to it. Naturally, something can, or it wouldn't be a motor race. Out in front, Brabham, Jaguar, second and third. More from Lime Rock shortly. It's Jeff Brabham's race to win, with now 13 laps remaining in the Lime Rock Grand Prix. Live here on ESPN Speed World today. On this 1.5-mile track, the first half was dominated by Toyota. The second half by the man who won it a year ago, Brabham. As to the man who fell out of it, Mike Joy is with him now.
Drake Olson sitting on the pit wall to watch the finish of this one. Let's talk first about the first half of this race. So you guys went out and just kicked everybody to the back of the field. You ran a great first half.
What happened to the second half?
Well, I was going to let you talk about the first half first.
We'll concentrate on the good stuff. That was great. Yeah, everything was going just fine. Evidently, we lost our brake lights or something, and so I guess, I don't know how long our pit stop was, but it was a little bit longer than we had hoped for. You know, without a driver change, we can really nail it quick. And so from that point on, it kind of went downhill a little bit, didn't it?
Was that disconcerting to have to sit there in the pit and try to, you know, fix a niggling 20-cent piece of wire when you want to be out there running hard and holding that lead?
Yeah, it was a little bit, but not too much. We actually didn't lose that much time, and I felt like maybe we could make it up. And I think we were a little bit for a while there. And
you knocked off 11 seconds before Brabham picked up the pace.
Well, good. And I'm making him work for it today.
That's Drake Olson.
He certainly did make him work for a while. Brabham just getting stronger and better in prototype racing, event after event. Here he is, out in front. The Jags are running in second and third. The new V6 is second. Price Cobb in the V12 is third. And it's Chip Robinson in the Nissan running in fourth. Costas Los, the Spice Pontiac, is fifth. Drake Olson with 10 laps to go now being shown in sixth. For the Camel Light, Charlie Morgan stays first in the 9 car. Hessert is second. Downing and Katz maintaining third position overall. They had a good scrap in the early going, but it was right when the encounter was at its highest peak among these prototype cars as the Jag and the Toyota were really having a go.
They sure were, Ken, and as strong as Jeff Brabham looks, the new Jag is going to be a good contender here in the last half of the IMSA season.
The Jaguar team brings years of experience and a new weapon to Lime Rock, Connecticut today.
In motorsports, finishing first is winning. Finishing second, just plain losing. No one on the Camel GT circuit wants to win more than Jaguar. The Jaguar team won the first and last races of their debut season in 1988. Then entered 1989 with something old and something new. The old, the howling 6-liter, 12-cylinder engines they introduced to the series in that debut year of '88. The new is Price Cobb, who joined Jag after 3 years as the most successful driver in the Porsche camp. In the season-opening 24 Hours of Daytona, Cobb, John Nielsen, and Andy Wallace chased the winning Porsche of Derek Bell, Bob Wallach, and John Andretti to the flag in the closest Daytona finish ever. In the 4 races since, Cobb and Nielsen have finished second 4 times, most recently to Wallach and Andretti in West Palm Beach. The reward for their consistency is a shared first place in the Drivers' Championship. To ensure victory in that war, Jaguar has brought a new weapon to Lime Rock, a new chassis which forsakes the familiar V12 for a totally new turbocharged V6.
If you want to come second, you have a V12. If you want to win, you have a turbocharged V6. And we like to win. We've got second in every race this year. XJR-9's a terrific car. We've learned a lot out from the chassis. But if you want to win in IMSA and you want to progress in IMSA, you need a turbocharged V6.
Well, there you see it live, and this 60 is closing in the final moments of this event with 7 to go. That Jag is moving in. Let's go to Chris Economaki.
Standing down. I'm down here in the Jaguar pit. Here's Tom Walkinshaw. Tom, it's almost over. I think your new car has made a magnificent debut. What are your opinions of the new car?
Yeah, we're happy with it. We run it conservatively to get a finish on it, to get some mileage. So if we're in the first 3, we're happy.
All right, what about further work on it? Will it be on the engine or on the chassis?
Oh, a bit of both. The car's new, so we've more to come out the engine and more to come out the chassis.
All right, continue. Good luck to you. There you have the man that field of the new Jaguar, Tom Walkinshaw. Happy with the way it's going. Back to you, Ken.
1 year ago, Brabham for Nissan took the lead for the final time with 8 laps to go, won by 9 seconds. Today, Brabham is in front with 6 laps to go, and the interval is 8 9/10 of a second the last time by between this car, number 84, and the number 60 being driven by Jan Lammers. He closed it up. Now I believe Brabham may be given instructions to stand on it a bit.
Well, I think what's happened is that Brabham is just trying to drive as conservatively as possible because he realizes in a very few laps he'll be in a position to buy his own Indy team if he wants to. But the Jag is running right flat out just to see if he can pressure him into a last-minute mistake. And they're hoping at this point.
Yeah, I think the Jag, I have a hard time believing Tom Walkinshaw saying that they're running conservatively. I think they're running to try to win the race.
Yeah, I think they might have run a conservative boost. Maybe that was it.
We'll be back for the finish here at Lime Rock in just a moment on Speed World. The number 84, Brabham leads. The laps are trickling away. There are 3 to go. And now the interval is cut to 8 and 4/10 seconds. It went down to 6. Brabham picks it back up to an 8-second interval between first and second. Exactly where he was a year ago, Tom, as Jan Lammers from Zandvoort, Holland, the young bachelor from the spiritual home of motor racing in Holland, is really putting the pressure on here in the final moments, trying to close in. And Brabham continues to find just a little more in that Nissan.
Lammers is giving it all he has with the 84 Nissan driven by Brabham is just enough faster that there's probably very little hope here.
Boy, you can see, too, the interval here. Brabham has not slacked off much at all. He dropped that left rear wheel off on the gravel, and here's the Jag.
There you see the interval, standing at 8 and 3/10 seconds between first and second as we get down to the end of this great International Motorsports Association prototype contest. It looks as though, for the 4th time this year, Nissan will find their way to victory lane. Here's Jeff Brabham, battle-scarred window from this contest. He started in 7th this afternoon. He fought his way through the field. He had some tremendous work to do against the Jaguars and the Toyota, and he's persevered. Had one bad moment on pit road when the engine failed to fire. It picked back up. Out he's come, and now he is leading. The last half of the race has been pretty much his. There you see him down the main straightaway another time, getting down into the final lap. 149 complete. And here comes the Jag. Jan Lammers making a great run. In its maiden voyage, this car has been amazing.
A very good performance by the new V10, new V6 XJR-10. A little confusing, but Brabham's doing a great job in the 84 car. This is the correct car also. He'll win the $110,000 Pyramid Award. Wow. Because this is technically a different car than he won before.
On to Mid-Ohio for IMSA, and it's going to be just great racing with Toyota and Jag at Pontiac Spice. That car cost us Slowstein 5th today. Bill, this has been some race, and what a magnificent victory this is going to be for Brabham. And this is, I believe, the biggest crowd they've ever had at Lime Rock to enjoy this wonderful Memorial Weekend. Coming down for the checkered flag to the stripe. Win number 4 of 1989 belongs to Team Nissan. Don Devendorf, Kaz Kastner, Jeff Brabham, and company.
Boy, look at the shine on that man's head.
Wow. They've done it again.
Very impressive performance by Jeff Brabham and the whole Nissan team. Kaz Kastner and Don Devendorf. Quite a job.
Won the Drivers' Championship last year, missed the Manufacturers' Championship by just a smidgen, and you can be sure that's what they're focusing on this year with these 2 cars. And the number 84 sustains for Brabham this afternoon.
And once again, the 5th straight race, Jaguar comes 2nd.
Here's the number 9 car coming to the line. Charles Morgan. Jeff Perner will win here in Camel Light today. 2nd place car in that category will be the Hessert number 19. Jim Downing and Howard Katz will come home 3rd in Camel Light competition today.
That really tightens up the Camel Light season's points because Scott Schubert was out today. He was leading, and now the points are just about even.
And that was the first car out, and for better than 65 laps, the only car to fall by the wayside on this very rough track. Car number 9, winning in Camel Light. Brabham wins in the prototypes with Jan Lammers 2nd, Price Cobb 3rd. So, Nissan takes it. Jag finishes 2nd and 3rd. Nissan comes home 4th. Pontiac Spice in 5th. And the Porsche 962 relegated to 6th. Boy, there's a change. We'll meet the winner, Jeff Brabham, here at Lime Rock on ESPN Speed World in just a moment. Time to go to the Sears Die Hard Winners Circle here at Lime Rock. This victory interview is presented by the Die Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. Let's go down to the victory lane area
and Chris Economack.
Well, Jeff Brown's being interviewed by Bill Bowser here. He's sitting in Victory Lane. Congratulations, Jeff. It looked like it was hot and heavy for you.
It really was, and this is a tough racetrack, and 150 laps around here is a long way, and at the end there I was really tired, and you know, Price made a run at me, and I really had to try and forget it and run as hard as I could, so it was really a tough one.
What were your thoughts in the first half when the Toyota was gone?
Well, it seemed like about the midway through the stint, he stopped pulling away, and actually we were gaining on him again, so I thought it was going to be pretty interesting at the end, because he was nearly 30 seconds ahead at one stage, and then when he went out, you know, it was about 17 seconds ahead, so we were kind of coming up to him, so I thought it was going to be a really good race at the end, but, you know, it's a shame that they went out.
Jeff, you see over your shoulder there the number on the check? They just filled in $80,000.
Yeah, that's making it really worthwhile. The guys really deserve it. The Nissan ran tremendously, and you know, that's I probably wouldn't have earned that much at Indianapolis yesterday, so I'm really happy.
Well, that's it. Congratulations. Good luck. You know, there's only 2 cars have won in IMSA this year. You're going to be able to hang on through the rest of the season like that?
Well, I think today proved that there's a lot of people who can run hard at the front, and I think everybody should be in for exciting races from now on.
Good. Thanks again. Back to you, Ken.
Well, let's go to the Sears Die Hard winner's circle for the Camel Light category here today, and standing by there is Mike Joy.
Ken, only 2 men drove this winning number 9 car, but it's a story of 3 drivers. First, Charles Morgan, who took it the first 102 laps. You were saying you had a couple of anxious moments out there with the prototype cars.
Well, they're running for some big money today, and of course we are too. This is a big purse today, and I've never seen more intensity in any race in my IMSA career. Those guys were really going for it. Of course, we were too, but it was very intense out there, I can tell you for sure.
So, Tom Hessert, you had a choice of which car to get into, 9 or 19. Did you draw the wrong card?
Well, I didn't mind losing it. I couldn't lose to a better guy, my teammate. But we had the team strategy of doing first or second car. And with Charles in the lead, I decided to get in the second car so it wouldn't jeopardize his chances.
So that meant, that meant Jeff Perner brought the car home and got the checkered flag. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I have to give most of it to Charles there. He brought it all the way and just did a terrific job, and it was easy after that.
Team strategy pays off in the Camel Lights.
Congratulations to one and all for the outstanding job in this great race at Lime Rock today before a record crowd. The 14th career win for Jeff Brabham, as for the 2nd straight year he wins at Lime Rock, Connecticut. Our thanks today to those who worked with us, Bill Adam, alongside Tom Blackhaller, Chris Economack, and Mike Joy on pit road. They're the Camel Light finishers today, and it's Morgan and Perner in first, Hessert and Morgan second, and Howard Katz, Jim Downing for third. But the overall winner is Nissan, going for the Manufacturers' Championship. We'll see you at Watkins Glen, live on ESPN, July 2nd. Congratulations, Jeff.